He had traveled through time and had become the 9th prince of the Great Xia dynasty, but this identity had brought Liu Chen quite a few troubles. Liu Chen looked at the imperial edict in his hand and heaved a deep sigh. At that moment, a woman wearing a green long dress, with a graceful figure, entered the hall where Liu Chen was. Seeing Liu Chen's troubled expression, the woman consoled him, "Chener, there's nothing dangerous about the north, and besides, being far from the capital city might actually be a good place for you." The woman's voice was gentle and crisp, like a spring breeze that touches one's heart. Liu Chen looked up at the woman before him, and the worries on his face were instantly swept away. The woman was named Chu Yukan, and in the past, she was a maid to his mother, but his mother had always treated her like a sister, so Liu Chen also called her Madam Chu. When Liu Chen was 10 years old, his mother passed away, and since then, it had always been Chu Yukan who took care of him. He hadn't been in this world long before he regained the memories from his life on Earth, but those memories weren't of much help to him. Unlike the protagonists in novels who could do everything, aside from some common knowledge, he didn't know much about science and engineering, and he could hardly remember any ancient poetry. Even if he had memorized poetry every day in high school, by this time, he had forgotten it all, so he was no different from ancient people. As for political matters, Liu Chen was completely clueless, but he knew one thing for certain, that was never to get involved in the struggle for the throne, otherwise, he wouldn't even know how he might end up dead. His mother was born into the aristocratic Chu family from the south, so if he wanted to get involved in the struggle for the throne, he wouldn't be entirely without support. Moreover, there had always been people trying to tempt him to vie for that position, but luckily, he was aware of his own limitations. The life he lived now with everything provided for him was actually not bad. He didn't need to take any risks. It was just a pity that he would soon have to head to the harsh and cold lands of the north to suffer. Perhaps it was because he appeared too inept, only knowing how to enjoy life. The emperor of the Great Xia dynasty, his father, had used his coming of age as an excuse to arrange a marriage with Mu Zixuan for him and instructed him to govern North City. If it had been in the past, who knows how many people would have wanted to marry Mu Zixuan, the first talented woman of the capital city. But now it was different. Mu Zixuan's family had connections with a rebellious clan, and although the Mu family had produced a writ of protection against execution to save themselves, their family's status had plummeted. Anyone with the slightest political acumen knew that marrying Mu Zixuan would virtually eliminate any chance of becoming the crown prince. Liu Chen didn't care about the position of the crown prince. He was only concerned that the Mu family's connection with the rebellious clan might one day affect his comfortable life after marrying Mu Zixuan. Worried as he was, this was a marriage bestowed by his father the emperor, and he could not refuse it. He could only accept it. At this moment, the corners of Liu Chen's mouth turned up slightly, revealing a faint smile as he said, "Madam Chu, if I go to North City, won't you feel lonely here in the capital city alone?" Aside from being a maid to Liu Chen's mother, Chu Yukan had another special identity. She came from the Chu family, and in front of Liu Chen, she represented the interests of the entire Chu family. However, once Liu Chen married Mu Zixuan and went to North City, it would mean he had completely lost the possibility of becoming the crown prince. The Chu family would no longer bet on him, and Chu Yukan would likely leave him too. Chu Yukan had reached the 9th grade in strength. In this world, there were not many 9th grade masters throughout the entire Great Xia dynasty, and the Chu family wouldn't allow a 9th grade master to follow a useless prince. Chu Yukan smiled and then replied, "If you go to North City, I will follow you there." Hearing this, Liu Chen was momentarily stunned. Liu Chen asked with puzzlement, "Madam Chu, are you sure you want to come with me to North City?" Chu Yukan answered with a smile, "Of course, I promised your mother I would protect you for life." "You're asking this question, could it be that once you have a wife, you no longer want your auntie?" Liu Chen quickly said, "How could that be? I can't wait for you to come with me to North City, Madam Chu. Without you, I might not even be able to sleep. As he said this, Lu Chen glanced at Chu Yukin. Chu Yukin was 28 this year, yet still peerlessly graceful. Dressed in pale blue cloud attire, her unmatched beauty was flawless, with the snowy whiteness of her delicate face accented by a faint blush. She was pretty and delicate, with crystal clear eyes like rippling springs. Her lips curved gently in a smile, serene with an almost watery tenderness. Her black hair was combed up in the back, twisted into a lofty style, with the scent of her fragrant hair cascading over her shoulders like willow threads in the breeze. The dark pearl on her jade hairpin set against her lustrous black hair shone brilliantly, and her pale blue cloud attire accentuated her exquisite figure with endless charm. Lu Chen's feelings for Chu Yukin were rather complicated, but there was one thing he knew for sure: he craved her. If Chu Yukin were to leave him, he would really hate to let her go. At that moment, Chu Yukin spoke with indulgent affection, "All right, stop your teasing, and prepare for your wedding instead." A few days later, the North Prince Mansion was abuzz with excitement inside and out, with festoons and red lanterns hanging everywhere. Today was Lu Chen's big day, and nearly every official, whether close to Lu Chen or not, was present. After the wedding banquet had concluded, Lu Chen could hardly wait to get to the bridal chamber. Over the past few days, Lu Chen had made peace with it. No matter what crimes Mu Zixuan's family had committed, she was now wed to him, and there was no need for him to dwell on it too much. Now that Mu Zixuan was married to him, she was his princess, and just thinking about the rumors of Mu Zixuan being a great beauty excited him immensely. Unlike Chu Yukin, although Lu Chen longed for Chu Yukin, she had a special status after all, whereas Mu Zixuan had just become his wife, someone he could truly be with. Upon entering the bridal chamber, Lu Chen's gaze instantly locked onto the wedding bed. Seated on the bed was a woman, wearing a bright red bridal gown with her face covered by a veil. Although her face was concealed, her graceful figure already captivated Lu Chen's heart. On either side of the woman stood two maids, both very beautiful. In Lu Chen's former life, it would have been very difficult for him to marry a beauty like these maids. With a heart full of excitement, Lu Chen approached Mu Zixuan and took a jade stick from one of the maids' hands to gently lift the veil. The next moment, an exceptionally beautiful face came into view. Mu Zixuan looked like a fairy who had descended to the mortal realm, or the mysterious woman of the nine heavens incarnate, leaving Lu Chen completely mesmerized. Blushing, Mu Zixuan said with a hint of shyness, "Darling, it's time to drink." Seeing Mu Zixuan's shy manner, Lu Chen could no longer hold back and pounced on her. The two maids were about to remind Lu Chen to drink the nuptial wine, but seeing that he had already commenced the nuptial rites, they quietly stood aside to serve. After an indeterminate amount of time, Lu Chen, holding Mu Zixuan in his arms on the bed, completely relaxed. Perhaps this was the life he had been longing for. But it was then that an unfamiliar woman's voice rang out. Ding! Congratulations, host, for obtaining your first wife and activating the system of lots of sons and lots of blessings. The newlywed gift pack has been issued, would you like to claim it? Chapter 2 Chapter 2 Newcomer Gift Pack _1 2 Chapter 2 Newcomer Gift Pack _1 Seeing the blue interface before his eyes, Lu Chen was just as stunned as he was when he first saw Mu Zixuan's beautiful visage. He even suspected that he was hallucinating due to overexertion, which might have left him physically weakened. Then, he stared intently at the blue interface and raised his hand to select yes. Right after that, the woman's voice rang out again. Newcomer's gift pack has been claimed. As the notification sound ended, many items appeared before Lu Chen. Congratulations host for obtaining 1 dragon and tiger pill, 1 realm breaking pill, a desert eagle with 500 bullets, 50 grenades and 1 dragon phoenix tree seed. Lu Chen didn't know what these items were for. He first glanced warily at the beauty beside him, Mu Zixuan, who had already fallen asleep from exhaustion, then he reassuringly raised his hand again and tapped on the words Dragon and Tiger Pill on the blue interface. Dragon and Tiger Pill, upon consumption, it can greatly enhance the host's combat strength and ensure a higher chance of producing offspring. The next moment, a beautifully crafted porcelain bottle appeared in Liu Chen's hand. Liu Chen's eyes lit up, it was real. Immediately after, with a thought and a wave of his hand, the small porcelain bottle returned to the blue interface. Liu Chen then clicked on the other rewards. Realm Breaking Pill, upon consumption, the host can become a first-rank martial artist. Desert Eagle, this gun is very powerful and can protect the host to live more safely in this world. Dragon Phoenix Tree Seed, the Dragon Phoenix Tree can be cultivated with the host's blood. When the Dragon Phoenix Tree grows, if a woman drinks tea brewed from its leaves, it will increase her feelings towards the host and the seed can help the host have more quality offspring. Excited by the descriptions of these items, Liu Chen hadn't expected that just when he had resigned himself to living a normal life as a mere prince, a multiply and prosper system would suddenly appear. Liu Chen immediately asked in his mind, "System, can I receive rewards for every child a woman bears for me?" Although he now had the system, Liu Chen didn't believe it came without any requirements. If every woman who bore his child granted him rewards, then he would quickly become invincible. All he would need to do then was to farm at home every day and do nothing else. The woman's rating must reach 90 to qualify. Hearing the system's voice, Liu Chen turned to look at Mu Zixuan again. At that moment, a recognition interface popped up. Name, Mu Zixuan. Identification, daughter of Mu Chongtian, a citizen of the Great Xia Dynasty, Queen of the North Prince. Rating, 93. Favorability, 60, you have made her very satisfied today. Seeing that Mu Zixuan's rating was 93, Liu Chen smiled. For such a beautiful woman, it would indeed be unreasonable to score less than 90. Then Liu Chen glanced at the two maids in the room. They were also quite beautiful and might have ratings of 90 or above. Name, Zhou Xiaoxiao. Identification, daughter of Zhou Wangtian. After Zhou Wangtian's family was raided, she was sent to the Ministry of Punishments. Later, the Mu family bought her, and today she came as a dowry maid accompanying the Mu family's young miss, Mu Zixuan, to marry into the North Prince Mansion. Rating, 90. Favorability, 50. Seeing the introduction of this maid, Liu Chen was momentarily stunned. He was not surprised that Zhou Xiaoxiao had a rating of 90, after all, she indeed looked quite beautiful. He was shocked that this woman was actually the daughter of Zhou Wangtian. Zhou Wangtian was the man who had caused trouble for the Mu family with accusations of rebellion. Whether it was true or not, Liu Chen wasn't sure, but it was officially labeled as rebellion. The Mu family was bold enough to rescue her even though she had been sent to the Ministry of Punishments. Moreover, they sent her to the North Prince Mansion, which was like setting a trap for him, wasn't it? If someone with ulterior motives found out about this, it was very likely that he too would be implicated. Afterward, Liu Chen glanced at the other equally beautiful maid. Name, Zhou Yuyu. Status, daughter of Zhou Wangtian, younger sister of Zhou Xiaoxiao. After her father Zhou Wangtian's household was raided, she was sent to the Ministry of Punishments and later bought by the Mu family with money. Today she is accompanying the Mu family's eldest daughter, Mu Zixuan, as a maid in her marriage to the North Prince Mansion. Rating, 91. Favorability, 80, she fell in love with you at first sight. Seeing Zhou Yuyu's information, Liu Chen furrowed his brows. It was exactly as he had suspected. When he had entered the bridal chamber earlier, he had been curious as to why Mu Zixuan's accompanying maids were so beautiful. These were not simply maids, they were clearly two young ladies. However, on second thought, both of them had a rating of 90, so if he had children with them, that would satisfy the system's conditions. This was like getting two for the price of one. But how should he handle the two women's status? It was really too sensitive a matter. Although they were bought out with money by the Mu family, and perhaps the process was legal, they were still daughters of a criminal, only fit to be slaves. At that moment, Zhou Xiaoxiao and Zhou Yuyu stood beside the bridal chamber, shivering as they saw Liu Chen, busy earlier, now staring straight at them instead of sleeping. They had witnessed Liu Chen's violence just now. They had entered the prince's mansion as maids for the bridal chamber. Even as Mu Zixuan consummated her marriage, they were to attend to Liu Chen and Mu Zixuan, such as wiping sweat and the like, or even replacing the mistress in serving Liu Chen when she was not able. They had already accepted their fate, and for the two daughters of a criminal, being favored by Liu Chen could actually be considered their good fortune. The reason the Mu family chose them as accompanying maids was precisely with this in mind, to have the North Prince mansion protect them. Liu Chen coughed and then said, "You can go to sleep now." In unison, they replied, "Yes, Prince." Then, they turned and walked towards the adjoining room next to the bridal chamber. Watching the graceful silhouettes of the two sisters, Liu Chen couldn't help but think that ancient society was truly sinful. He was, however, already accustomed to it and didn't even feel uncomfortable watching the two sisters from the side earlier. After they had left the bridal chamber, Liu Chen took out a realm-breaking pill and swallowed it directly. Immediately, a warm flow entered his body, and Liu Chen suddenly felt extremely relaxed all over. Subsequently, a blue interface appeared in front of him. Host, Liu Chen. Realm. First rank. Cultivation technique, none. Divine skills, none. Weapon, Desert Eagle. Offspring, none. Liu Chen glanced at it and then closed the system interface. He felt restless at that moment. Since arriving in this world, he occasionally exercised his body, but he had never practiced any martial arts and never had the strength of a martial artist. Having the strength of a martial artist for the first time, Liu Chen was eager to test it out. However, after glancing at the beauty who had already fallen asleep next to him, Liu Chen ultimately dismissed the idea. Everything would wait until tomorrow morning. The next morning, Chu Yukin came to the courtyard where Liu Chen was staying. Seeing that the bridal chamber of Liu Chen and Mu Zixuan was still closed, she asked the prince's mansion soldiers at the door, "Has Chen not gotten up yet?" The soldier stammered and replied awkwardly, "Well, the prince is already up, but he is still busy. Madam Chu, please return." No sooner had the soldier finished speaking than Chu Yukin faintly heard some noises coming from inside the room. Chapter 3-3 Chapter 3 Madam Chu's Reminder _1 3 Chapter 3 Madam Chu's Reminder _1 Chu Yukin, as a 9th grade martial artist, had a very high status in North Prince Mansion. She was in charge of all the guards in the mansion. Still, even so, the soldiers guarding the courtyard gate felt it was somewhat inappropriate for Chu Yukin to wake up their prince. In the past, there was no issue with Chu Yukin waking up their prince, but now that the prince was married, it would be very awkward if she happened across Liu Chen and the prince's wife being playful with each other. For instance, right now. Although the courtyard gate was a bit far from the bridal chamber, one could still faintly hear some noises coming from inside. Chu Yukin frowned slightly, though she was still a virgin. As a grown woman, she naturally knew the reason for those sounds. Chu Yukin muttered to herself, "This little rascal is already causing trouble early in the morning." At that moment, Chu Yukin turned to the soldier beside her and said, "You go down. From now on, the soldiers guarding the courtyard gate will be replaced with female guards." The soldier immediately responded, "Yes, Madam Chu." Having said his piece, the soldier hastened to flee this potential trouble spot. After a round of playfulness, Liu Chen held Mu Zixuan tightly in his arms. At this moment, Mu Zixuan's complexion was rosy, and she dared not look directly into Liu Chen's eyes. Liu Chen stroked Mu Zixuan's hair and asked with a smile, "Darling, are you satisfied with me, your husband?" Mu Zixuan responded softly with a "Hmm." Before she married into the prince's mansion, she had been a little worried that he might just seem like a child, but all her concerns dissipated upon meeting Liu Chen. After spending the night together, she discovered that the North Prince's body had developed well. Although not exceptionally robust, he was very fit. Moreover, he was also handsome, fitting perfectly the image of the ideal husband she had in mind. The Mu family had been affected by a traitorous family and would not be able to recover for a long while. Marrying a prince was also considered her fortune. Originally, her father had raised her to be the crown princess consort, but she did not wish to be one herself. In her view, marrying a leisurely prince was much better than being a crown princess consort. Although the North Prince might not be mature enough in mind, this also meant that she, the princess consort, would have a lot of authority in North Prince Mansion. Moreover, the fiefdom of the North Prince was far from the capital city, and after leaving, they might never be able to return to the capital. Just the thought of being far from the political center made Mu Zixuan incredibly happy. At this time, Liu Chen said, "We will be departing for North City tomorrow. After we get up, I will accompany you to see your father." Mu Zixuan replied, "All right." Afterward, with the assistance of two beautiful maidservants, Liu Chen took a quick bath and then stepped out of the room. When Liu Chen saw Chu Yukin standing at the entrance of the courtyard, his eyes lit up, and he immediately used the system to identify her personal data. Name, Chu Yukin. Identity, servant of Chu Yu, sworn sister to Jin Lan, representative of the Chu family's interests, Wang Han's wife, currently leading North Prince Mansion's guards, North Prince's first love. Rating, 97. Favorability, 98. Seeing Chu Yukin's identity information, Liu Chen felt a bit puzzled. Wang Han had died on the day Chu Yukin married him. They didn't even consummate the marriage, so how could she be considered his wife? And what about this North Prince's first love? Although he admittedly was quite enamored with her, this identity information seemed a bit unreliable. But on the other hand, Chu Yukin's rating was actually 97, and her favorability toward him had reached 98. This only further stimulated the wicked thoughts in his heart. At that moment, Liu Chen said with a smile, "Madam Chu, why are you eavesdropping so early in the morning?" Hearing that, Chu Yukin spit out in disgust, then scolded, "You little rascal, you're up to mischief early in the morning. It's important to carry on the family line, but you should also take care of your health." Liu Chen replied with a laugh, "Madam Chu, don't worry, I'm strong and can handle it." Chu Yukin gave Liu Chen a glance and then said, "Eat your breakfast, then go see Duke Mu. Even though he was implicated a while ago, he still has considerable influence in the military. You will need his help to settle things when you leave for your fiefdom in North City." Liu Chen, puzzled, asked, "Why do I need his help to settle things for my departure to my fiefdom in North City?" Chu Yukin replied with a smile, "Chener, you don't think that your trip to North City will go smoothly without any issues, do you?" Liu Chen paused for a moment, then said, "Madam Chu, what do you mean by that? Don't scare me." Chu Yukin said, "Although you are most likely out of the running for that position, to some people, only the dead pose no threat." This. Liu Chen naturally understood what Chu Yukin meant. However, in his view, since he had always behaved like a useless person and had never made connections with any significant officials, it seemed unlikely that anyone would view him as a threat. Chu Yukin continued explaining, "Madam Chu knows what you are thinking. You certainly believe that since you have never shown any interest in that position and have never befriended any court officials, no one would see you as a threat. But you've forgotten one thing, your identity. Even if you do nothing, your identity ensures that some people will inevitably see you as a threat." Liu Chen realized in an instant. He had always thought that as long as he was offensively useless at home, doing nothing and not getting involved in the succession struggle, he would be safe. But he seemed to have forgotten his mother's strong political status. His mother came from the Chu family, representing their interests. From his birth, he had been placed in the Chu family's camp. Even if he did nothing, others would assume he had a special relationship with the Chu family. In the eyes of some, if they wanted to collaborate with the Chu family, they would have to deal with him, the obstacle, because the Chu family might not give up on him. Only with his death could the Chu family possibly give up on him completely, turning to partner with another prince instead. Thinking of this, Liu Chen didn't worry too much. If it were yesterday, he might have been concerned about his safety, but having acquired the system, he already had some reassurance. Then he said, "Madam Chu, I understand what you mean." At this moment, Chu Yukin's gaze fell upon Mu Zixuan, who was now coming out of a room, assisted by the two sisters from the Zhou family, limping as she walked. Upon seeing Chu Yukin, Mu Zixuan immediately said, "Greetings to Madam Chu." The princess consort's status was higher than Chu Yukin's, so it should be Chu Yukin who initiates the greeting to Mu Zixuan, but Mu Zixuan was very aware of Chu Yukin standing in the North Prince mansion. Chu Yukin smiled and nodded, "Zixuan, from now on, Chen'er is in your care." Mu Zixuan replied, "Please rest assured, Madam Chu, I will definitely take good care of the prince." Chu Yukin didn't say anything more, she then turned around and left the courtyard. After breakfast, Liu Chen and Mu Zixuan went to the Duke Mu residence. Duke Mu had a very imposing appearance, looking strong and powerful. Upon seeing Liu Chen, Mu Chongtian immediately said, "Greetings to the North Prince." Liu Chen hurriedly replied, "Please, there's no need for such formality, father-in-law." Mu Chongtian sized up Liu Chen, then said, "Please, North Prince." Under Mu Changtian's guidance, Liu Chen was led to the main hall. At that time, Mu Chongtian asked, "I wonder what plans the North Prince has in mind following your appointment to North City." Honestly, Mu Chongtian had no intention of discussing politics with Liu Chen. For one thing, Liu Chen was young, and furthermore, he had always been an idle prince who hardly ever read books. Of course, this did not mean he underestimated Liu Chen, after all, he was still a prince. When Liu Chen heard Mu Changtian's question, he thought for a moment and replied, "To govern North City well and then live a peaceful life with Zixuan is all I wish for." Upon hearing Liu Chen's response, Mu Chongtian immediately regretted asking him this question. Liu Chen was a political novice, he hadn't even understood the implications of what had just been asked. Mu Chongtian sighed internally, wondering whether marrying his daughter to the North Prince was a good decision. At this point, Liu Chen initiated the conversation, "I hear that father-in-law has great influence within the military. I will need your help when I go to North City to take up my post." Hearing this, Mu Chongtian thought to himself that the North Prince really knew nothing and was still a child. Even though he did have strong influence in the military, it was not something to be plainly spoken of. But this was also okay. The less Liu Chen knew, the more important his daughter would be in the prince's mansion, which could be considered a good thing for her. Mu Chongtian then smiled and said, "Rest assured, North Prince. Your journey to North City will undoubtedly be smooth sailing." Chapter 4-4 Chapter 4 Such a wife, what more could a husband ask for? 1 4 Chapter 4 Such a wife, what more could a husband ask for? 1 Mu Chongtian did not explicitly say that he would help Liu Chen, for some things in politics cannot be spoken so plainly. However, since he had already assured Liu Chen that his journey to North City would go smoothly, this confirmed that he would definitely send people to protect the North Prince and would also liaise with the military. Although Liu Chen was a political novice, he could understand what Mu Chongtian meant. Liu Chen said, "Then, I thank you, father-in-law." At this moment, Mu Chongtian glanced at the servants in the hall, then said to them, "You all may leave us, I have something to discuss with the North Prince alone." "Yes." The servants then left the hall. After the servants had exited, an intrigued Liu Chen asked, "May I know what matter my father-in-law wishes to discuss with me?" Mu Chongtian sending the servants away from the hall before having a discussion surely meant that it was something very important. Mu Chongtian then said, "North Prince, I must remind you that even if you safely reach North City, you won't be safe at all times." Liu Chen asked, "Why is that?" Mu Chongtian knew Liu Chen was a political novice, so he decided to be clear about it. "Your mother is the eldest daughter of the Chu family, which naturally aligns them with your faction. Although you have left capital city, in the eyes of most princes, you still pose a significant threat to them. Moreover, the Chu family might still have expectations of you, a view I share, and so will those princes. If you are still here, the Chu family might continue to support you, but if you were..." Mu Chongtian did not continue, as the rest of his words would be somewhat disrespectful and he believed Liu Chen must have grasped his meaning. Upon hearing Mu Chongtian's warning, Liu Chen instantly understood what he meant, especially since Chu Yukin had reminded him about it just that morning. Liu Chen sighed to himself. His own situation was indeed perilous. If he remained alive, the Chu family might always harbor expectations of him, and being a major family in the south, their support was crucial for any prince. If he died, the Chu family would lose their primary candidate for support and would then shift to backing another prince. Thus, for any prince seeking the Chu family's alliance, the most likely first step would be to eliminate him, the expendable prince, and completely cut off the Chu family's concerns. What a headache! Ever since arriving in this world, he had planned to live a life of leisure without competing for the throne. Unexpectedly, his mere heritage brought him so many problems. But there was nothing he could do, one's birth was determined by fate and could not be changed. Now he had only two choices. One was to find a way to completely turn against the Chu family, making everyone believe they had severed ties. The other choice was to eliminate all those wanting to get rid of him, securing his safety. Choosing the second option would mean he was embarking on the path of the emperor. From a personal standpoint, there was no way Liu Chen could entirely turn his back on the Chu family. Firstly, his maternal grandfather had always treated him well, and the Chu family had continuously provided him protection, plus, his first love in this world, Chu Yukin, was from the Chu family. He simply couldn't bring himself to sever ties completely with the Chu family. Moreover, even if he did break away from the Chu family, those princes might not necessarily spare him. After all, no one knew whether this was just a ruse performed by him and the Chu family for show. Therefore, eliminating him was still the most foolproof strategy. In doing so, those princes would still likely attempt to make a move against him. That left him with only one option: to embark on the path of the emperor. After some thought, Liu Chen figured that previously, he indeed would have struggled to compete with the other princes for that position. But now things were different. He had the system of lots of sons and lots of blessings. As long as he took multiple consorts and had many children after arriving in North City, he could quickly enhance his power. That position might not be unattainable for him after all. With this in mind, Liu Chen said to Mu Chongtian, "Thank you for the reminder, father-in-law, I understand your point." Having left Mu Mansion, Mu Zixuan tentatively asked from inside the carriage, "Prince, what did father say to you?" Liu Chen smiled faintly and then pulled Mu Zixuan into his embrace. "He didn't say much, he urged me to take good care of you." At this moment, Mu Zixuan was somewhat conflicted. She didn't know whether she should tell Liu Chen about the Zhou sisters, considering their identities were extremely sensitive. Then, Liu Chen caressed her hair gently as he continued, "My consort, once we arrive in North City, you should bear many children for me." Hearing such a direct statement, Mu Zixuan's face instantly turned crimson. Although she was already a married woman, she had just begun to engage in such matters. Seeing Mu Zixuan's shy expression, Liu Chen wanted to tease her right away, but ultimately he restrained himself. Meanwhile, Imperial Palace, Royal Garden. A middle-aged man in a yellow python dragon robe stood in the pavilion by the lotus pond, hands clasped behind him, watching the fishes swim in the pond. A person clad in black armor suddenly appeared behind him. "Your Majesty, the North Prince has just visited Mu Mansion." During that visit, Duke Mu ordered the servants to leave the hall and he closed the door to talk about certain matters with the North Prince alone. Hearing this, the Sum Emperor muttered to himself, "It seems that Mu Chongtian holds Chen in high regard." At this, the Sum Emperor turned to look at the red-robed eunuch standing beside him. "Mr. Lu, what do you think? After Chen leaves capital city, will the Chu family simply give up on him?" Hearing this question, the red-robed eunuch promptly replied, "Your Majesty, I dare not speculate recklessly." The Sum Emperor expressed his displeasure, "Just speak your mind." The red-robed eunuch hurriedly said, "In your servant's view, it's highly likely the Chu family will abandon the North Prince and choose to support another prince." The Sum Emperor asked with interest, "Oh? Then who do you think the Chu family is most likely to choose?" Mr. Lu trembled with fear. Always by the Sum Emperor's side, he knew things others did not. The Sum Emperor loathed the Chu family to the bone and dreamed of eliminating them. If he suggested who the Chu family might support next, wouldn't he be endangering that prince? The Sum Emperor continued, "Speak boldly, you will not be punished." Mr. Lu immediately knelt to the ground and then said, "Your Majesty, your servant thinks the Chu family is most likely to support Prince Liu Shiyun. The mother of Prince Liu Shiyun was also from the south, so if the Chu family was to choose another ally, they would undoubtedly focus on Prince Liu Shiyun." Upon hearing Mr. Liu's reply, the Sum Emperor merely smiled faintly, murmuring, "Supporting Shiyun, eh? Then Chen's journey will probably not be peaceful." At that moment, the soldier in black armor behind the Sum Emperor asked, "Your Majesty, shall I assign someone to protect the North Prince?" The Sum Emperor said indifferently, "No need, someone will protect him. If he truly runs into trouble, it only means his fate wasn't strong enough." Evening. In the room, Liu Chen wanted to have a proper talk with his consort, but remembering they had been intimate just yesterday and earlier this morning, he decided against it. Seeing her darling appeared rather distressed, Mu Zixuan eventually mustered the courage and said, "Prince, why don't you take Yu and Xiao Xiao?" Hearing this, Liu Chen's eyes brightened, not expecting his consort to be so magnanimous. But he still responded, "My consort, how could you bear to push me into the arms of other women?" Mu Zixuan blushed and replied, "Prince, you were staring at them all morning. How could she possibly fail to guess Liu Chen's thoughts?" Mu Zixuan continued, "Besides, both of them were my dowry maids, serving you is their duty." Holding Mu Zixuan, Liu Chen said, "To have a wife like you, what more could I ask for?" At that point, Mu Zixuan called out to Zhou Yuyu and Zhou Xiao Xiao, "Yuyu, Xiao Xiao, come here." Then, the candle light within the room flickered. Chapter 5-5 Chapter 5 The day I return to the capital city is the day I reign supreme _1. 5 Chapter 5 The day I return to the capital city is the day I reign supreme _1. Ding! Congratulations to the host on gaining another wife and concubine, reward, Chi Refinement Mantra. Ding! Congratulations to the host on gaining another wife and concubine, reward, Rejuvenating Skill. Ding! The host and his wife and concubine have reached a heart-to-heart connection, obtaining 1 Barret along with 20 Barret bullets. Liu Chen, who had been basking in happiness, was jolted back to reality by the system's prompt. He hadn't expected to receive such generous rewards. If he was already getting such gifts without having any children yet, wouldn't the rewards be even more bountiful once he had offspring? As Liu Chen was musing over this, the system's prompt sounded again. Ding! The rewards for the first communication and interaction with the host's wife and concubine will be more generous. Only then did Liu Chen realize, so that was it, he had thought that every communication and interaction would yield such rich rewards. At this moment, Liu Chen checked the new rewards he had received. Qi Refinement Mantra, a legendary cultivation technique said to help people become immortals, can be practiced by fostering a relationship through communication with wives and concubines. Rejuvenating skill, can use spiritual energy to heal some injuries. When cultivated to perfection, there is a chance to revive those on the verge of death. This technique can be practiced by fostering a relationship through communication with wives and concubines. Seeing these two rewards, Liu Chen was completely dumbstruck. Isn't this the martial arts world? Could this world actually contain cultivation techniques like the Qi Refinement Mantra and rejuvenating skill that are only found in the immortal world? But then again, if one day he became an immortal, wouldn't the throne of the great Xia dynasty be readily within his grasp? Thinking of this, Liu Chen happily hugged Zhou Yuyu, Zhou Xiaoxiao and Mu Zixuan, the three of them. You three are truly my treasures. Hearing this, the Zhou sisters felt incredibly happy. Now that they had finally become women of the North Prince, perhaps once they got to North City, they wouldn't have to hide anymore. However, just then, Liu Chen suddenly spoke up. By the way, my consort, I feel like you might be hiding something from me. Hearing this, Mu Zixuan's heart skipped a beat. She had not expected Liu Chen's intuition to be so accurate. Liu Chen continued, you are now my wife, and I would rather my women not keep things from me. Just as Mu Zixuan was about to say something, Liu Chen patted the waists of Zhou Yuyu and Zhou Xiaoxiao and said with a smile, if I'm not mistaken, you two are the daughters of Zhou Wangtian, aren't you? Hearing this, the three women were greatly shocked. They had not anticipated that Liu Chen already knew this. Zhou Yuyu and Zhou Xiaoxiao quickly got up from Liu Chen's embrace, then knelt on the bed, kowtowing as they said, Your Highness, please forgive us, we did not mean to deceive you. All of this is our fault, please do not blame the consort. Mu Zixuan opened her mouth to say something, but then closed it. After all, it was she who had been in the wrong. Zhou Wangtian and her father, Mu Chongtian, were known as the two Sky Kings of the Great Xia dynasty, and their families had always had a good relationship. Mu Zixuan and the Zhou sisters were as close as sisters. She really couldn't bear to see them being imprisoned in the Ministry of Punishments as playthings for others. Seeing the Zhou sisters so panicked, Liu Chen's mouth curved upward slightly, then he said with a smile, Indeed, you three have done wrong to keep such an important matter from me. However, I can give you three an opportunity to atone for your sins through meritorious deeds. Hearing this, Mu Zixuan's brows immediately relaxed, and she quickly asked, Your Highness, how should we atone through meritorious deeds? Liu Chen looked at Zhou Yuyu and Zhou Xiaoxiao and said, It's simple, all you need to do is bear me several children. Hearing this, the three women instantly understood. Then Zhou Yuyu and Zhou Xiaoxiao hurriedly thanked him, saying, Thank you for taking us in, Your Highness. We will certainly bear you many descendants in the future. Liu Chen then said, All right, you two sisters go rest first, once we get to North City, I will take you as my concubines. The two of them spoke in unison, Yes, Prince. Then the pair left the room, limping away, and went to the adjacent chamber. After they left, Mu Zixuan cautiously asked, Prince, do you really intend to take in the two of them? Although Liu Chen was 3 years younger than herself, he was still the prince, and Mu Zixuan couldn't be sure about his temperament. Liu Chen pulled Mu Zixuan's delicate body toward himself, wrapped his arms around her, and whispered in her ear, If I didn't plan to take them in, do you think I would have touched them just now? Hearing this, Mu Zixuan realized the point. Indeed, Liu Chen apparently knew the identities of the two Zhou sisters all along, yet he didn't seem to care about their origins earlier. Liu Chen continued, My love, I hope this is the first and last time something like this happens. Do you understand what I mean? Mu Zixuan promptly replied, Yes, Prince. I will not keep any secrets from you in the future. Liu Chen kissed Mu Zixuan and, stroking her body, said, That's what I like to hear from my cherished consort. By the way, I'm not unreasonable. There's no need for you to be so cautious, after all, you are the mistress of this household. Mu Zixuan, 3 years his senior, but these past few days, she completely acted like a little woman, cautious in both her speech and actions, giving the impression that she was an outsider. Blushing, Mu Zixuan said, "Prince, I will adjust to my role as quickly as I can." Liu Chen added, "Also, stop calling me prince, call me darling." Mu Zixuan replied softly, "Yes, darling." "All right, get some sleep now. We're setting off for North City tomorrow." "Yes." Then Liu Chen, holding Mu Zixuan's warm and tender body, fell into the land of dreams. Early the next morning, before the sky fully brightened, everyone at North Prince Mansion began their preparations. Liu Chen wasn't one to rise early, but since he had to leave the capital city today, he too had to get up early from the warmth of his bed. Standing at the entrance of North Prince Mansion, Liu Chen looked over his home, feeling a certain gloom in his heart. The North Prince Mansion held all his memories since childhood, and now the moments of his past played like a movie in his mind. Leaving this time, he didn't know when he would return, as without the seigneur's orders, he could not come back to the capital. Determined, Liu Chen made a silent vow to grow stronger as quickly as possible. The day he returned to the capital city would be the day he commanded the world. At that moment, a group of soldiers, clad in armor and riding horses, arrived at the entrance of North Prince Mansion. The leading officer, Li Feng, seeing Liu Chen, immediately half-kneeled and said, "General Li Feng, at your service, Prince. On your journey to North City to establish your fief, I will do everything in my power to ensure the safety of you and your household." Then, Liu Chen's eyes emitted a subtle gleam that others might not notice, and an information bar appeared before him. Name, Li Feng. Identity, one of the generals in the Great Xia Ben army, currently serving as a temporary general for the Great Xia North Prince's Guard team. Strength, 7th rank. Loyalty, 50. Seeing this information bar, Liu Chen was momentarily startled. So the system of lots of suns and lots of blessings could display information about men as well. This was incredibly useful to him. Chapter 6-6 Chapter 6 Farewell, my good brother _1. 6 Chapter 6 Farewell, my good brother _1. Liu Chen was very satisfied with Mu Changtian's arrangements. Though Li Feng was only a 7th grade martial artist, in this world, the strength of a 7th grade martial artist could already be considered as a match for 100. Moreover, the soldiers Li Feng brought with him were mostly 2nd and 3rd grade, there were no ordinary soldiers among them. In other words, they were all elite, with no cannon fodder. Liu Chen then said, "General Li, rise. I believe in your strength to adequately protect both me and my family." "Thank you, Prince." Li Feng stood up as soon as he finished speaking. Afterward, Li Feng whispered into Liu Chen's ear, "Prince, Duke Mu asked me to remind you that Prince Liu Shiyun has already sent people to North City." Hearing this, Liu Chen frowned slightly and pondered for a moment. "Prince Liu Shiyun? What is he sending people to North City for? To kill me?" Liu Chen soon understood that Liu Shiyun's mother also came from a great clan in the south, so if Liu Shiyun wanted to lay claim as the legitimate successor, he would need the Chu family's support the most. If he died, the Chu family would inevitably choose someone who also descended from a great clan of the south. He had not expected Mu Changtian to obtain even this kind of information. It seemed that although Mu Changtian had been dismissed from his position, he still retained control over the army. No wonder his father, the emperor, was so wary of Mu Changtian. Liu Chen then said, "All right, I got it." Following that, Liu Chen mounted his horse and declared, "Since everyone has arrived, let's set out now. We shall hurry to North City." Liu Chen was now solely focused on reaching North City and starting on his cultivation journey. The Qi refinement mantra and the rejuvenating skill both required cultivating a relationship with his wives, which essentially referred to matters between a man and a woman. However, it was clearly inconvenient to do so on the road, a stable place was necessary. As for the threats along the way, Liu Chen did not take them to heart. Below a Grand Master, all were mere mortals. Mortals can't block bullets, and the Desert Eagle and Barrett in his hand were not for show. Following this, the people from the North Prince Mansion set out in formation, leaving the city with great fanfare. Unlike the time of Liu Chen's wedding, not a single court minister came to see him off today, not even his own father-in-law. Only onlookers among the common folk lined the sides of the road. Liu Chen didn't mind these things, it made no difference to him whether anyone saw him off or not. When the procession passed by an inn, a man dressed in blue brocade garments gazed at the gradually fading figures from the second floor. At this moment, the man asked, "Is everything ready?" "Your Highness, rest assured, we have arranged everything properly. Blood Moon Tower has dispatched an 8th grade and 2 9th grade this time," another person replied. "As soon as they leave the jurisdiction of the capital city, Blood Moon Tower's men will take immediate action." Hearing his subordinate's words, Liu Shiyun watched Liu Chen on horseback and murmured to himself, "Had Chu Yukin not accompanied you to North City, I wouldn't have chosen this method. My dear brother, I wish you a pleasant journey." Initially, Liu Shiyun thought that after Liu Chen left the capital city, the Chu family would completely give up on him. Especially since even the Sum Emperor had banished him to the bitter cold land of North City. What Liu Shiyun didn't expect was that Chu Yukin, a 9th grade master, would actually go to North City with Liu Chen. What did this mean? It meant that the Chu family hadn't given up on Liu Chen at all. Otherwise, the Chu family would never let Chu Yukin go with him. Since the Chu family had not lost hope, he might as well help the Chu family make a firm decision. It wasn't long before Liu Chen and his company left the city. After leaving the city, Chu Yukin saw Liu Chen riding a horse and slightly furrowed her willow-like eyebrows. Those people inside the city did not dare to act, but outside the city, it was a different story. Riding on a horse made Liu Chen too obvious a target. If someone shot arrows, it would be hard to guard against. Chu Yukin immediately rode up beside Liu Chen and said, "Chener, you should go back to the carriage." Liu Chen turned his head to look at Chu Yukin, then said, "Madam Chu, rest assured, even if someone wants to make a move against me, they won't do it near the capital city." Chu Yukin said, "Better safe than sorry. You should listen to your aunt and stay inside the carriage quickly." Chu Yukin's tone was a bit stern, after all, this involved Liu Chen's safety and was not to be taken lightly. At that moment, Li Feng also came over from afar, "Prince, we are about to leave the jurisdiction of the capital city. You should go inside the carriage. The carriages provided by Duke Mu are reinforced and can withstand most arrows." Seeing both of them say so, Liu Chen no longer insisted on being stubborn. As a first-grade martial artist, he was only a bit stronger than an ordinary person. If someone really attacked him, he would still be unable to react in time. Liu Chen then said, "All right, I leave the surrounding security to you both. If there's any sign of trouble, notify me immediately." With that, Liu Chen returned to the reinforced carriage prepared by Mu Chongtian. At this point, Liu Chen and his wife, Mu Zixuan, were separated. If there really was an attack, even if Liu Chen was targeted, Mu Zixuan and the others might still have a chance to survive. As the carriage convoy slowly proceeded on the official road, soon after leaving the jurisdiction of the capital city, a dense forest appeared ahead of the straight path. Li Feng immediately reminded the soldiers of the guard team, "Stay sharp. Look around." Chu Yukin also told the trusted aides of the prince's mansion, "From now on, don't leave the side of the carriage for half a step." After the convoy entered the forest, the light dimmed dramatically. Through the window, Liu Chen looked outside and, noticing the darkness, realized that danger might be approaching. Immediately, Lu Chen took out the Desert Eagle from the system space and loaded it with bullets. The Desert Eagle had 500 bullets, which ought to be enough. Moreover, he didn't need to deal with the pawns. Li Feng and the others were there for that. He only needed to be ready for those experts who would come directly for him. Just as the convoy reached the depths of the forest, the sound of whizzing came from a distance, followed by countless arrows falling from the sky. Li Feng immediately shouted, "Enemy attack! Protect the prince!" Seeing this, Chu Yukin quickly drew her sword from her waist. Hearing the various sounds outside, Lu Chen became somewhat tense. He hadn't expected enemies to actually come. At that moment, he heard a scraping noise coming from the carriage, indicating that arrows were striking it. It had to be said, the carriage provided by Duke Mu was truly remarkable, managing to block all the arrows shot by the attackers. In this way, as long as he didn't go out, those arrows couldn't harm him. After the first wave of arrow rain, a group of people dressed in black, wearing masks, and holding large knives charged directly towards the convoy. Most of these attackers were roughly 3rd grade, led by an 8th grade martial artist. Seeing this, Li Feng immediately engaged the assassins in combat along with the guard team. At this time, Lu Chen's trusted aides still did not leave the side of the carriage. Their main task was to protect Lu Chen and his family, preventing the enemy from creating a diversion. Chu Yukin did not assist Li Feng, she simply stood not far from Lu Chen's carriage, vigilantly observing her surroundings. Chu Yukin did not believe that the enemy would only send an 8th grade martial artist. The ability to summon so many 3rd and 4th grade warriors in an instant meant that the force behind the assassins was definitely not simple. There must be a 9th grade martial artist yet to come. While Chu Yukin was on alert, a breeze blew through the forest, and the falling leaves split in two mid-air, softly landing on the ground. A sharp light flashed in Chu Yukin's eyes. The real enemy has arrived. Chapter 7-7 Chapter 7 What are you laughing at, kid_1? 7 Chapter 7 What are you laughing at, kid_1? Chu Yukin had just gotten ready when a black figure appeared on her right side and immediately thrust a sword towards her body. With a light push of her feet, Chu Yukin's body soared through the air like a feather and leaped into the sky. Then, she turned and swept her sword toward the assassin. The assassin hastily retreated. Not bad for a female swordsman trained by the Chu family. Quick reflexes. Hearing this voice, Chu Yukin finally got a clear look at the other's face. There were two people, and neither of them wore masks. The aura emanating from these two suggested that they were at least 9th grade martial artists. Those 3rd grade martial artists all wore masks, yet these two key figures did not. What did this imply? It meant that they did not care if others saw their faces. They either believed that they could kill their targets and silence them today, or their current faces were fake, as they had used disguise skills. Of course, whichever it was, that was not important now. What mattered was how to deal with these two. At this moment, Chu Yukin noticed that both men's clothes bore a red moon emblem. Chu Yukin instantly guessed where they were from. Chu Yukin spoke coldly, "Does Blood Moon Tower realize what it's doing? The North Prince is inside the carriage. If the Sum Emperor finds out that the North Prince was assassinated by Blood Moon Tower, you may be quickly eradicated." Upon hearing this, Lu Tong burst into laughter. Madame Chu loves her jokes. If the Sum Emperor was capable of dealing with us, he would have annihilated Blood Moon Tower long ago, not waited until today. At that moment, White Crane beside Lu Tong said indifferently, "Madame Chu, we bear no ill will toward the Chu family. Just step aside, and we won't lay a finger on you." After hearing White Crane's words, Chu Yukin gripped her sword tightly and said icily, "To harm the North Prince is to make an enemy of the Chu family." Lu Tong retorted, "Give it up. The North Prince is already cast aside by the Sum Emperor. He will never ascend to the throne. What reason does the Chu family have to support him now?" White Crane also said, "Madame Chu, we're just fulfilling a contract. If you insist on obstructing us, Don't blame us if our swords and sabers show no mercy. Chu Yukin wielded her sword in the air, unleashing a streak of sword chi that drew a line between them. This is the line. Cross it, and die. Seeing that Chu Yukin was unwilling to make way, White Crane and Lu Tong had no choice but to brace themselves for a tough fight. Honestly, they really didn't want to confront Chu Yukin head-on. Although all of them were 9th grade, there could be a great disparity amongst those of the same grade. Chu Yukin may just be a woman, but her innate talent in swordsmanship was incredibly high. She was even quite famous throughout the entire Great Sum. But since Chu Yukin was unwilling to step aside, they had no choice but to fight. White Crane immediately said to Lu Tong, "Elder Lu, try to hold her off while I take care of that useless prince." Lu Tong, holding his great iron hammer, said with a chuckle, "Great, I've been eager to witness Madame Chu's swordsmanship. Let's see just how formidable the Chu family's #1 female swordsman is." In the midst of speaking, Lu Tong pushed off with his legs, propelling his body towards Chu Yukin like a cannonball. Chu Yukin frowned and swung her sword, releasing a blast of sword chi. Chu Yukin's body was extremely agile, floating through the air as if weightless. Because her body was nimble, her sword was astonishingly fast. After just one exchange, Lu Tong nearly got pierced by Chu Yukin's sword. Seeing his hair cut by Chu Yukin's sword, Lu Tong immediately shouted to White Crane, "Elder White, don't waste time." Lu Tong had not expected Chu Yukin's sword to be so fast. He nearly lost his life in just a brief encounter. White Crane also realized that Lu Tong might not be a match for Chu Yukin, so he quickly charged towards the convoy. Seeing this, Chu Yukin's toes lightly tapped the ground, and her body shot forward like an arrow. Immediately afterward, Chu Yukin swept her sword toward White Crane. White Crane turned his head in an instant, raised his hand with his sword, and blocked Chu Yukin's slash. At that moment, White Crane said to Lu Tong, "Elder Lu, I'll keep her occupied." Upon hearing this, Lu Tong's body disappeared on the spot and he rushed straight to the carriage where Liu Chen was. Liu Chen's trusted aides saw this and all charged over, attempting to block Lu Tong's path. But Lu Tong, being a 9th grade martial artist, swung his hammer down and killed a trusted aide with a single blow. In front of Lu Tong, Liu Chen's trusted aides stood no chance at all. Seeing this, Li Feng from a distance grew anxious. Now this is trouble. He immediately ran towards Liu Chen's carriage, but just as he took a few steps, an 8th grade martial artist blocked his way. "General Li, your opponent is me." Chu Yukin also realized that Liu Chen was in danger. She immediately swung her sword frantically, and strokes of sword chi swept through the forest, instantly splitting the surrounding trees into countless fragments. However, White Crane was no simple foe. He always managed to dodge Chu Yukin's sword strikes. After all, both were 9th grade martial artists, and although he might not be as strong as Chu Yukin, stalling her wasn't too much of a problem. Chu Yukin grew desperate, seeing that Lu Tong was about to reach the carriage where Liu Chen was. If she continued to be stalled like this, Liu Chen's life would be in danger. She had promised to protect Liu Chen when his mother passed away. If something happened to Liu Chen, how could she face her sister, with whom she had formed a sworn sisterhood, in the afterlife? Liu Chen cannot come to harm. Chu Yukin no longer cared about White Crane and charged directly towards Lu Tong. Seeing Chu Yukin bypass him, White Crane hurriedly rushed up, blocking her way. By this time, Lu Tong had already arrived in front of Liu Chen's carriage. He did not know which carriage Liu Chen was in, but he was ready to search them one by one. Lu Tong went straight with his hammer, and the door of the carriage was instantly smashed to pieces. Liu Chen was sitting upright inside the carriage at that moment. Seeing that he had found Liu Chen in the very first carriage he smashed, Lu Tong laughed loudly and said, "Ha ha ha, looks like my luck isn't too bad." Chu Yukin's face turned deathly white from a distance. "It's over. Chener." Li Feng was also in a state of panic. He wanted to save Liu Chen too, but the opponent in front of him was an 8th grade martial artist, while he himself was only a 7th grade martial artist. He simply couldn't get away. Just when everyone thought that the North Prince was certain to die there, Liu Chen showed a faint smile. Seeing this, Lu Tong standing in front of Liu Chen was stunned. Lu Tong asked in confusion, "Kid, what are you smiling about?" Liu Chen said nothing and simply raised his hand and shot. Bang! Accompanying the sound of gunfire, Lu Tong's body slowly toppled backward. His pupils constricted, his eyes wide open as if he couldn't believe that he had just died. At this moment, everyone focusing on Liu Chen was shocked. People couldn't process what had happened. The North Prince was surely doomed, so why did the North Prince just raise his hand and that 9th grade martial artist fell to the ground, lifeless? And what was that sound just now? What exactly happened here? The death of Lu Tong terrified all the members of Blood Moon Tower present. Lu Tong was, after all, a 9th grade martial artist. And yet, just by looking at the North Prince, he was dead. Even Chu Yukin couldn't believe what she was seeing as she looked at Liu Chen. She had been ready to fight to the death for Liu Chen's revenge, yet the situation took an instant turn. Chu Yukin had guessed how Lu Tong died. His death was definitely related to the black stick-like object in Liu Chen's hand. But she couldn't believe that object could instantly claim the life of a 9th grade martial artist. At that moment, it was as if everything hit the pause button, and both sides even forgot to fight. Chapter 8 Chapter 8 Are you hiding something from your aunt? 8 Chapter 8 Are you hiding something from your aunt? It took Chu Yukin a long time to finally come back to her senses. A hint of murderous intent flashed in her eyes. The 9th grade martial artist who had attempted to assassinate Liu Chen was dead, and she absolutely could not let this one in front of her escape. Even though she did not know what Liu Chen held in his hand, it had enabled an ordinary person to possess the ability to kill a 9th grade martial artist. That proved the item was incredibly powerful, and if word got out, it would certainly cause turmoil throughout the entire world. White Crane was still shocked by Lu Tong collapsing in an instant, and he had just come to his senses, wanting to flee from the place. However, at the moment White Crane was distracted, it seemed as though it had started to rain from the sky, with the virtual shadow of raindrops and flower petals slowly falling. The next moment, several streaks of white light appeared around White Crane's body. Only then did he realize the danger, his face turning pale. Not good. It was at that moment that Chu Yukin whispered, "Rainfall of 9 swords." Immediately after, the virtual shadows of the raindrops and flower petals became incredibly violent, furiously assaulting White Crane's body. Combat between 9th grade martial artists often results in victory or defeat in an instant. When a martial artist becomes distracted, it is easy for their opponent to seize the opportunity. And Chu Yukin had seized the opportunity when White Crane was distracted, executing her most formidable sword technique directly. Watching White Crane in front of Chu Yukin slowly fall to the ground, Liu Chen was stunned. The speed at which Chu Yukin had struck with her sword was too fast for him to see clearly. By the time he reacted, all he saw were a few flashes of white sword light passing through the body of the 9th grade martial artist, then he collapsed. Is this the strength of a 9th grade martial artist? So strong. Although Liu Chen had just dealt with a 9th grade martial artist himself, after all, he had done so with firearms. He still deeply desired to rapidly improve in the world of martial arts. Firearms are, after all, external objects. If one could utilize firearms to take advantage of another's unawareness as what happened just now, then killing a 9th grade martial artist is no different from slaughtering a chicken. But if the opponent is on their guard, it would not be so easy for him to kill a 9th grade martial artist. Especially after seeing the speed of Chu Yukin's sword strike, the smugness Liu Chen felt from killing a 9th grade martial artist vanished in an instant. The people from Blood Moon Tower, seeing that both of their elders had fallen, knew that the mission had failed and thus began to flee. Retreat! Retreat quickly! The 8th grade martial artist who was entangled with Li Feng saw that both 9th grades were dead. He knew if he continued like this, he might also die here, so he immediately turned and fled towards the woods without any hesitation. Seeing those from Blood Moon Tower trying to flee, Chu Yukin coldly ordered the guard team and the prince's mansion's trusted aides, "Kill them, don't let any escape." Immediately after, the situation shifted dramatically. Led by Li Feng, his soldiers and the prince's mansion trusted aides started to round up the remaining Blood Moon Tower assassins. Although these assassins also had strengths of the 3rd or 4th grade, they were just there to make up the numbers. Their main mission was to hold back the guard team and the trusted aides of the prince's mansion until Liu Chen was successfully assassinated by their elders. Now that their mission had failed, the only option they had left was to run away. Meanwhile, seeing that the 8th grade martial artist from Blood Moon Tower was trying to escape, Liu Chen stepped out of the carriage and took out the Barrett. He had not used this gun before and wanted to give it a try. Chu Yukin had intended to pursue that 8th grade martial artist, but when she saw the black stick-like thing in Liu Chen's hands, she paused for a moment. At that moment, Liu Chen quickly lay down on the ground, then aimed the black stick at the escaping Blood Moon Tower 8th grade martial artist. Boom! With a muffled yet enormous sound, the head of the escaping 8th grade martial artist burst open in an instant. Chu Yukin was once again frozen in place. From such a distance, a 9th grade martial artist vanished in an instant. She had watched Liu Chen grow up, but she never knew that Liu Chen had such a formidable weapon. What 9th grade, 8th grade, in front of Liu Chen, it was only a matter of looking at them. Seeing that black metal staff, even Chu Yukin, a 9th grade martial artist, couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. 8th grade, 9th grade, they all have the strength to fight against a grandmaster, and even powerful 9th grade martial artists can fight on par with master level martial artists. However, the once highly sought-after 8th and 9th grades were being slaughtered like chickens by Liu Chen, an ordinary man. Chu Yukin knew very well that Liu Chen had never practiced martial arts, he grew up under her protection, and she didn't want Liu Chen to endure the pain of martial arts training. An ordinary person, holding an unknown weapon, could instantly kill 8th and 9th grade martial artists. What did that mean? It meant that once the weapon in Liu Chen's hands was spread, the entire martial arts world would be overturned, and from now on, the status of martial artists would plummet. After a long while, Chu Yukin finally recovered. Now was not the time to think about these things, the priority was to quickly deal with the assassins from Blood Moon Tower. At that thought, Chu Yukin pushed off with the tips of her toes and sprinted towards the assassins from Blood Moon Tower. With no 9th grade martial artist from Blood Moon Tower to restrain Chu Yukin, those 3rd grade martial artists were no different from ants in front of her. Wherever Chu Yukin passed, there were only the corpses of Blood Moon Tower assassins. Soon, all the assassins from Blood Moon Tower were annihilated. Of course, Liu Chen's side also paid a steep price. Only about 100 men from Li Feng's guard team were left, and only 50 or 60 of the prince's mansion's trusted aides survived. Looking at the bodies scattered across the ground, Liu Chen felt no stirring in his heart. Liu Chen was very clear that the road to eminence was necessarily paved with blood. Today's slaughter was just the beginning. Just as Liu Chen was lost in thought while looking at the bodies, an enchanting figure appeared behind him. "Chener, you better confess, are you hiding something from Madame Chu?" There was a hint of grievance in Chu Yukin's tone. As an aunt who had watched Liu Chen grow up, and even arranged all the work in the prince's mansion, she was unaware that Liu Chen had acquired such a terrifying weapon. That kind of weapon definitely could not be Liu Chen's, no need to even think about it. What she wanted to know now was who supplied Liu Chen with such a terrifying weapon and what their purpose was. There's no such thing as a free lunch. If someone provided Liu Chen with such a powerful weapon, they must have some conditions. Chu Yukin was afraid that Liu Chen would fall into an even bigger conspiracy. Now, All Chu Yukin wanted was for Liu Chen to live a peaceful life after he got to North City. After hearing Chu Yukin's voice, Liu Chen was momentarily stunned. He just wanted to test the power of firearms and had not thought about how to explain what would happen next. Those were 8th and 9th grade martial artists, and they vanished in front of him instantly. If word got out. At that moment, Liu Chen turned his head to look at Chu Yukin and replied with an innocent and radiant smile, "Madam Chu, what could I possibly hide from you?" Seeing Liu Chen playing dumb in front of her, trying to cover it up, Chu Yukin sighed and continued, "Tell me, who gave you those 2 weapons you had just now?" Liu Chen feigned ignorance. "Weapons? What weapons?" Chu Yukin gave Liu Chen a look. "Do you think your aunt is blind?" At that moment, Liu Chen took the Black Desert Eagle out from his embrace and removed the magazine. "Are you talking about this?" Chapter 9-9 Chapter 9 You've Grown Up _1 9 Chapter 9 You've Grown Up _1 Looking at the Desert Eagle in Liu Chen's hand, Chu Yukin was momentarily stunned. After all, this was a weapon that allowed an ordinary person to instantly kill a 9th grade martial artist. Seeing Chu Yukin's curiosity about the Desert Eagle, Liu Chen directly handed over the unloaded gun to her. After Chu Yukin received the Desert Eagle, she repeatedly caressed it with her fair hands, very curious how exactly did this small thing kill a 9th grade martial artist? Chu Yukin then asked, "Chener, where did you get this weapon from?" Chu Yukin happened to be a martial artist herself and had seen many weapons. She could tell the moment she touched it that the materials used for making the Desert Eagle were not ordinary, and the precision of the weapon was beyond one's imagination. It was even possible that the royal family of the Great Xia dynasty did not possess such materials, nor could they manufacture a weapon this precise. Although Liu Chen survived with the help of this mysterious weapon, Madame Chu felt somewhat guilty at that moment. She had always protected Liu Chen's safety, yet she had still allowed the provider of this mysterious weapon to come into contact with him. What if the person did not intend to provide Liu Chen with weapons, but instead wanted to kill him? The consequences were unimaginable. Liu Chen answered with a smile, "Madam Chu, if I told you that these were parts I had made and then assembled myself, would you believe me?" Chu Yukin snorted lightly and said, "I am not an idiot." Liu Chen, pretending to be an adult, said, "Madam Chu, I'm also a man now, having a bit of a man's secret is quite normal." Liu Chen's words were originally just a joke, but upon hearing them, Chu Yukin fell silent. Ever since Liu Chen lost his mother at the age of 10, Chu Yukin had always looked after him, caring for him as if he was her own child. But now Liu Chen had turned 16 and was even married. She, however, subconsciously still saw him as a child. Seeing that Chu Yukin was not speaking, Liu Chen asked with concern, "Madam Chu, what are you thinking? Is there something wrong with what I said?" Chu Yukin came back to her senses and handed the Desert Eagle back to Liu Chen, showing a relieved smile on her face. "Chener, you're right, you have grown up, you're a man now, I shouldn't continue to treat you like a child. However, I still want to remind you that the person who provided you with the weapon must have big plans, you must be careful. Also, those 2 weapons you carry must not be known to outsiders, otherwise, even if you reach North City, you will attract continuous assassination attempts by the strong ones in the martial arts world." Liu Chen said, Don't worry Madam Chu, I am aware of the pros and cons." Chu Yukin said, "All right, go and check on Zixuan and the others." Afterward, Chu Yukin turned and left, heading towards General Li and his group. At this time, General Li and the others were cleaning up the bodies. Seeing Chu Yukin coming over, General Li immediately asked, "Madam Chu, is the prince unharmed?" Chu Yukin replied indifferently, he's fine." With this, Chu Yukin reminded, "General Li, regarding today's event, I hope you and your soldiers can act as if you've seen nothing." Hearing these words from Chu Yukin, General Li instantly understood what she meant. Clearly, she was referring to the North Prince instantly killing a 9th grade martial artist. The outside world rumored that the North Prince was nothing but a useless prince, who knew nothing of martial arts, did not study much, and knew only to indulge in eating, drinking, and merrymaking. When Duke Mu asked General Li to protect the North Prince on his journey to establish his feudal estate in North City, General Li was somewhat reluctant in his heart. But after witnessing today's event, it seemed that everyone was mistaken. With the North Prince holding such a terrifying weapon, he couldn't possibly be just a waste as simple as that. That was a 9th grade martial artist. Only a level below Grand Master, the 9th grade. With just one additional glance at the North Prince, that 9th grade martial artist was no more. And that 8th grade martial artist, from such a distance, General Li himself admitted he might not have been able to shoot and kill that 8th grade martial artist with an arrow. 8th grade martial artists have spiritual energy within their bodies. When an arrow enters their body, they can control their muscles to catch the arrowhead. Yet the North Prince, using some unknown weapon, managed to blow the head off that 8th grade martial artist instantly from such a distance. Moreover, at that time, the North Prince was just lying on the ground without any movement. Shooting an arrow requires drawing a bow, yet as the North Prince lay there, the life of that 8th grade martial artist came to an end. This was enough to show how terrifying the weapon in the North Prince's hands was. Despite having such a terrifying weapon, the North Prince did not vie for the throne, he even willingly went to North City. What did this imply? Li Feng dared not think any further. He even began to suspect whether he might be silenced by the North Prince. Although he was the general of the guard team assigned to escort the North Prince to his fief, he was also a commander in the Great Xiaohuben army. The North Prince might not necessarily trust them. Thinking this, Li Feng and his men couldn't stop the cold sweat from soaking their backs. After Chu Yukan finished reminding Li Feng and the others, she turned and left. Watching Chu Yukan's departing figure, a soldier whispered to Li Feng, "General! General, after we reach North City, we won't be silenced, will we?" The soldiers following Li Feng were elites from within the Huben army, and they were not dumb. They also understood what having a weapon that could instantaneously kill a 9th grade martial artist meant. To everyone at that moment, the North Prince must have had a great scheme in mind, so to prevent the day's events from being leaked, it was highly possible that the North Prince might silence them. In order to comfort the remaining 100 or so soldiers, Li Feng immediately said, "Don't spout nonsense, you lad. We are Duke Mu's men, and Duke Mu is the North Prince's father-in-law, the North Prince will surely trust us." Hearing Li Feng's words, the soldiers came to a realization. Indeed, Duke Mu was the North Prince's father-in-law, and Duke Mu's daughter was also the princess consort. Weren't they, the soldiers of Duke Mu's faction, equivalent to being men on the North Prince's side? Then why would the North Prince want to silence his own people for no reason? With this thought, the soldiers also breathed a sigh of relief. However, Li Feng was still quite worried at this time. Even though they were part of Duke Mu's faction, they were also part of the Great Xiaohuben army. After escorting the North Prince to North City, they were to return to the capital city. Would the North Prince really trust them? That was uncertain. But now, there was no other choice but to wait until they reached North City to know the North Prince's true intentions. After cleaning up the scene, Liu Chen and his caravan set off again, continuing towards North City. A few hours later, a certain tavern. Liu Shiyun sat by the window, quietly waiting for the news to arrive. At this moment, he faintly sensed something was amiss. By all accounts, those people should have returned by now, but up till now, there was still no news. Just then, a man dressed in grey clothes hurriedly walked out. "Your Highness, there has been a grave mishap." As soon as the man entered the room, he immediately kneeled down. Liu Shiyun's brow furrowed, and he then asked in a cold voice, "What happened?" The man quickly answered, "Blood Moon Tower failed, and none of the people they dispatched have returned alive, including those 2 9th grade experts. Now, the Tower Master of Blood Moon Tower is in a great fury, believing we deliberately set them up, and is demanding compensation. Chapter 10 to 10 Chapter 10 The Chu family is not the Chu family of the Chu family members _1. 10 Chapter 10 The Chu family is not the Chu family of the Chu family members _1. Upon hearing his subordinate's words, Lu Shiyun's face instantly darkened. 2 9th grade, 1 8th grade, and over 100 martial artists around the 3rd grade, yet they couldn't even kill a useless prince. Not only did they fail to assassinate him, but all were captured, none returned. The angrier Lu Shiyun thought about it, the more furious he became. He slammed his palm down on the table, shattering the bowls and pots on it instantly. Useless, all useless. He simply couldn't fathom how they could have failed. They had gathered detailed intelligence on the entourage accompanying the North Prince on his journey northward, of which only Chu Yukin and Li Feng were somewhat powerful. Apart from those two, there weren't even many above the 5th grade in that group. And yet, Blood Moon Tower had actually failed. They actually failed. What were the assassins of Blood Moon Tower even good for? What did they feed on? With 2 9th grade experts, even if they had no way to deal with Chu Yukin, one could hold her off while the other took care of that useless prince. But they still failed. And now, Blood Moon Tower has the audacity to demand compensation from them? They couldn't even kill a useless prince and still think about compensation? After letting off some steam, Lu Shiyun somewhat calmed down and asked emotionlessly, "Has Blood Moon Tower found out why their operation failed this time?" The man kneeling on the ground immediately answered, "Your Highness, when Blood Moon Tower sent someone to investigate, they discovered that some of their members' bodies had been scorched. When Lu Chen and the others left, they buried the bodies of their own people, while some of the assassins' bodies from Blood Moon Tower were piled up and burned. Although it wasted some time, Chu Yukin thought it was necessary, especially for those killed by Lu Chen. Martial artists could determine how a person died from the wounds on a corpse, and to prevent Blood Moon Tower from discovering their cause of death, Chu Yukin adopted this method of destroying the bodies and erasing the traces." Hearing his subordinate's report, Lu Shiyun became even more infuriated. It was bad enough that the mission failed, but to not even know how their people died was worse. At that moment, a subordinate beside Lu Shiyun speculated, "Your Highness, I suspect there might have been a master-level expert hidden among the North Prince's convoy." Hearing his subordinate's guess, Lu Shiyun's mind blanked for a moment, then he fell silent as various expressions flitted across his face. After a while, a spiteful look flashed in Lu Shiyun's eyes. "If that's the case, then this good-for-nothing deserves even more to be erased from this world." His subordinate spoke up again, "Rest assured, Your Highness, our men have already reached North City. Even if a Grand Master is protecting him, they will let their guard down given enough time." Lu Shiyun said nothing more, knowing he could only wait now. Luckily, he had a contingency plan. Lu Shiyun raised his head to look out the window, muttering to himself, "My good brother, I hope your luck lasts forever." Meanwhile, nearly everyone of status within the capital city had learned of Blood Moon Tower's failed assassination attempt, though it was unclear who had leaked the information. Imperial Palace. Royal Garden. The Sum Emperor, having received the message from the Shadow Guard, found it unbelievable. Sitting in front of the Emperor was an old man with white hair, who, seeing the Emperor's surprised expression while looking at the piece of paper, asked, "Your Majesty, what has happened?" The Sum Emperor collected himself and then tore up the paper in his hands. "I never imagined that Chen might still have a Grand Master by his side. The Chu family is really sparing no expense." Hearing this, the elder in front of the Sum Emperor paused. The Sum Emperor continued, "State Preceptor, do you think the Chu family truly wishes to support Little Nine, or are they deliberately diverting attention?" The elder before the Sum Emperor was Great Xia Dynasty's national pillar, Situ Ce, who also served as the State Preceptor, often giving strategic advice to the Sum Emperor. Facing the Sum Emperor's question, Situ Ce pondered for a moment, then responded, your servant believes this is Chu Xiong's personal action and does not represent the entire will of the Chu family." The Sum Emperor laughed and said, "Oh? Why does the state preceptor think so?" Situ Ce replied, "North City is a land of bitter cold. Even if the North Prince were to go there, it would be difficult to develop North City, let alone recruit soldiers or amass strength. The Chu family is not the Chu of the Chu people, they would not possibly support a prince who has completely lost his legitimacy in the competition for the throne. But Chu Xiong is different. Chu Xiong is the North Prince's maternal grandfather, and there exists a bond of blood between them. Thus, your servant believes that Chu Xiong, considering the North Prince is his own grandson, would send someone to protect him, and it's not because of the Chu family's interests." Hearing Situ Ce's words, the Sum Emperor rose from the stone bench, laughed loudly, and said, "The words of the state preceptor are quite interesting. The Chu family is not the Chu of the Chu people? Ha ha ha, it reminds me of myself, this great Xia is also not my great Xia. The Chu family has already tied itself to the powers of the south, so it's impossible for them to mindlessly support a prince with no hope of succession. If they insist on doing so, it would lead to conflicts with those forces, which could potentially lead to the Chu family's disintegration. Therefore, the Chu family is not the Chu of the Chu people." The words of Situ Ce also led the Sum Emperor to reflect upon his own situation. Just as the Chu family cannot do as they wish, so too, he, the Emperor, is subject not to his own desires but is constrained by various forces, especially including the powerful aristocratic families like the Chu family. Duke Mu residence. Seeing the pigeon letter in his hand, Mu Changtian's hand trembled slightly. This letter had been sent by Li Feng, detailing their ambush by assassins from Blood Moon Tower. When Mu Changtian saw the part of the letter stating that Blood Moon Tower had dispatched 2 9th-grade martial artists and 1 8th-grade martial artist, he thought the North Prince had indeed met with misfortune. But at the end of the letter, Li Feng told him that a mysterious master-level expert had appeared and taken care of the 2 9th-grade experts from Blood Moon Tower. This piqued Mu Changtian's curiosity. A mysterious expert? Who had been sent to protect the North Prince? Could the mysterious expert come from the Imperial Palace? As these thoughts crossed his mind, Mu Changtian's gaze turned toward the direction of the Imperial Palace, but he quickly dismissed the idea. The Sum Emperor never regarded the North Prince as his own child, even deeming him the stigma of his life, so how could he possibly send someone to protect him? Meanwhile, Liu Chen and his group had already set off again. In the month that followed, Liu Chen faced no further assassination attempts. This was largely thanks to a certain rumor that had spread throughout capital city. Nowadays, people believed that Liu Chen was protected by a Grand Master. With the Grand Master around, no one would be foolish enough to assassinate him. Of course, people did not believe that the Grand Master would stay by Liu Chen's side to protect him indefinitely. There were not many of master-level expertise throughout the whole Sum country, it was impossible for one to continuously protect a useless prince. In people's eyes, that Grand Master would most likely only protect the North Prince until they reached North City, then depart. Chapter 11-11 Chapter 11 Musician is pregnant _1 11 Chapter 11 Musician is pregnant _1 After nearly 2 months of exhausting travel by carriage and boat, Liu Chen's caravan finally arrived at North City. Along the way, officials from the various prefectures and counties courteously received them. While on the road, Liu Chen had communicated with his wives and concubines, but due to the rush of the journey, there had hardly been any serious exchanges, and he scarcely practiced his Qi refinement mantra and rejuvenating skill. Upon seeing the boundary marker of North City, the fatigue of 2 months vanished in an instant. In a world without concrete roads, traveling by horse-drawn carriage could jolt a person to death. Now that he had reached North City, his plan to have children could finally be implemented. With that thought, Liu Chen ordered his men to quicken their pace toward his new mansion. Before long, Liu Chen's caravan arrived at Yan County in North City. With 13 cities under its jurisdiction, Yan County was the most prosperous and would also serve as Liu Chen's princely city in the future. When Liu Chen's entourage made its appearance in Yan County, all the local officials came out to greet them, and the common people stood lining the roads. At that moment, many in the crowd quietly discussed the North Prince. At last, our Northland has been graced with a seigneur. What's the use? The North Prince is only 16, still a child. I've heard that the North Prince is an ignoramus, thrown to North City for that very reason. Who knows if the North Prince will start raising taxes right away? If taxes go up again, we'll not be able to survive. If the North Prince just indulges in merrymaking in his mansion and ignores us, that would be best. I've heard that in some places, life became much harder for the people after a seigneur arrived. As Liu Chen entered the city, he took a look at the common people on both sides of the road. The clothing of the Northland's inhabitants was clearly shabbier than that of people from other prefectures and counties. Compared to others, they were almost like beggars. This is too poor. Yan County was still the wealthiest city in North City. If even the residents of Yan County were dressed so shabbily, one could only imagine the state of other counties. His father, the emperor, was truly heartless to send him to such a place. Liu Chen wondered if there were many women in North City who could reach a score of 90, and whether this would affect his plans for taking concubines. Continually using the system to search the crowd for women who could score 90, he scanned for a long time without finding a single one. Among the commoners on both sides of the road, the highest score for any woman did not exceed 80. Liu Chen felt somewhat disappointed. When the caravan reached the city gate, the officials of North City all bowed and said, "We greet you, Prince." At that moment, Liu Chen stepped down from his carriage. Upon seeing Liu Chen emerge, the crowd immediately erupted with excitement. The North Prince is so handsome. They say the North Prince is only 16, but he already looks as mature as a 20-year-old man. Judging by his appearance, the North Prince doesn't seem like the type who is uneducated, right? At this time, a middle-aged man dressed in a green robe stepped forward to Liu Chen and said, "I am Li Rui, at your service, Prince." Hearing this, Liu Chen sized up Li Rui. Name, Li Rui. Identity: temporary governor of North City. Strength, 5th rank. Loyalty, 30, in his opinion, you are a talentless waste of a prince. Seeing Li Rui's loyalty so low, Liu Chen immediately checked the loyalty of the officials of North City, only to find that almost all the officials had a loyalty similar to Li Rui's. That wasn't surprising, these people had most likely already inquired about his reputation in the capital city. Liu Chen directly asked, "Prefecture Governor Li, may I know how the construction of my mansion is coming along?" Li Rui responded, "Rest assured, Prince, your mansion has been completed, and it is ready for you to move in." With a smile, Liu Chen said, "Then please lead the way." "Yes, Prince." After that, Li Rui and the others led the carriage team to the North Prince mansion. Upon entering the North Prince mansion, Li Rui directly asked, "Prince, when will you have time? I would like to report to you the situation in North City." Although Li Rui looked down on Liu Chen, the useless prince, Liu Chen was, after all, the North Prince, the supreme ruler of North City now. The appointment and dismissal of officials in North City were decided by the North Prince. In this era, seigneurs in their allotted lands held great power, not only administrative authority but also the right to appoint and dismiss officials, as well as the power to mint currency and command the military. Li Rui was only a temporary prefecture governor appointed by the court. With the arrival of the North Prince, there was a possibility that he would be transferred elsewhere, so Li Rui planned to make an impression on the North Prince and show his presence, to let him know he was a capable official. Hearing Li Rui's words, Liu Chen patted his shoulder with a smile and then said, "Leave professional matters to professionals. Governor Li, you managed North City well before my arrival. continue to govern North City on my behalf in the future." Upon hearing this, Li Rui excitedly half-knelt and said, "Thank you for your recognition, Prince. I will dedicate myself to assisting you with all my might, to my last breath." Liu Chen found himself somewhat at a loss for words. He had only intended to find someone to do the job. At that moment, Liu Chen saw Li Rui's loyalty instantly rise to 50 and said, "All right, Governor Li, go about your business. If there is nothing important, do not come looking for me from now on. I am about to get acquainted with my mansion." Saying this, Liu Chen walked towards his prince's mansion. Watching Liu Chen's departing figure, Li Rui's feelings were complex. Clearly, the North Prince intended to be a hands-off ruler, leaving all affairs of North City to him, the prefecture governor. Of course, this was good news for him who didn't like power. But Li Rui also knew that taking over the power entrusted by the North Prince to an excessive degree could potentially lead to dissatisfaction from the court. In the Great Xia dynasty, there had been a precedent where a chief secretary of a princely fiefdom had taken over all the seigneur's powers and had thereafter been convicted by the court of usurping the seigneur's authority, imprisoning the seigneur, leading to the eradication of that chief secretary's entire family. After entering the prince's mansion, Liu Chen decided on the courtyard he would reside in. He then took out a dragon phoenix tree seed from the system space. After biting his fingertip and dripping a drop of blood on the dragon phoenix tree seed, he buried the seed in the soil and instructed the servants to take good care of it. Once the dragon phoenix tree grew, the tea brewed from its leaves could make women more reliant on him, an item quite useful to Liu Chen. At that moment, Mu Zixuan, dressed in a red gauze dress, passed by the courtyard. Seeing Liu Chen repeatedly squeezing blood into the soil after biting his fingertip, she hurried into the courtyard. "Prince, what's the matter?" Mu Zixuan had initially thought that Liu Chen was bitten by a poisonous snake and was squeezing out the venom. Glancing at the alluring Mu Zixuan, Liu Chen smiled and said, "I'm fine, I am cultivating the dragon phoenix tree with my blood." Mu Zixuan asked with confusion, "Dragon phoenix tree, what is that?" Liu Chen wrapped his arm around Mu Zixuan's slim waist in response, "You will know in the future." With that, Liu Chen's hand began to wander around Mu Zixuan's waist. "My dear, why don't we go try out how comfortable the bed in the prince's mansion is right now?" Hearing that, a blush instantly appeared on Mu Zixuan's face. Then Liu Chen directly picked up Mu Zixuan around her waist and headed to the room. Building a relationship with your wife once, Qi Refinement Mantra experience value increased by 10. Congratulations on unlocking the Qi Refinement Mantra, successful in channeling Qi into the body. Congratulations, you have successfully impregnated Mu Zixuan, and you have earned the method to make soap. The reward for successful pregnancy is an encouragement reward, therefore the reward is comparatively small. Giving birth successfully will yield much richer rewards. Chapter 12 to 12 Chapter 12 You are all already dead _1. 12 Chapter 12 You are all already dead _1. Upon hearing the system's broadcast, Liu Chen instantly felt his body become incredibly refreshed, as if his skin could breathe. Liu Chen was extremely delighted. He had finally managed to draw spiritual energy into his body. After drawing spiritual energy into his body, had he not stepped onto the path of cultivation? Of course, there was another matter that delighted Liu Chen. Mu Zixuan was finally pregnant. In the previous 2 months, they had been on the road. Although they had communicated and often cultivated their relationship, there had been no sign of pregnancy for any of the 3 women. Unexpectedly, just after settling down, Mu Zixuan became pregnant. To bear offspring, a stable environment is indeed essential. Liu Chen, holding Mu Zixuan, gently stroked her fair and rosy skin while saying, "My love, I have a method to make money. Are you interested in hearing about it?" Liu Chen was now the seigneur of North City, and the prince's mansion's economic source mainly came from the taxes of the people. However, these taxes needed to be used to pay officials, leaving perhaps not much for the prince's mansion itself. If the prince's mansion wanted to live well, it still had to have its own industry, and it so happened that he obtained the method of making soap. Of course, the real moneymakers were commodities like salt and iron, but for the time being, Liu Chen had no plans to touch these. These were things with too many vested interests involved. If he were to meddle with them upon arriving in North City, it would probably lead to more attempts on his life. Upon hearing Liu Chen's words, Mu Zixuan's eyes lit up, and she immediately asked, "Prince, what is the method you speak of?" Mu Zixuan also wanted to prove that her worth was not limited to the bedroom. When in the capital, her father had trained her as if she were to become the crown princess consort. Therefore, her abilities were quite strong in all aspects. Liu Chen replied, "I have something in my possession that can clean clothes, and I believe that people will favor it." Mu Zixuan asked with curiosity, "Is the prince referring to soapberries?" In this world, there was a type of tree that bore fruit capable of cleaning clothes, which people referred to as soapberries. If it were soapberries, they were common and hard to turn into an industry. Liu Chen said with a smile, "Of course not, the thing I'm referring to has a much stronger cleaning capability than soapberries. You'll understand once I have it made in a few days." Mu Zixuan replied, "Understood, my lord." At that moment, the voice of a maid came from outside, "Prince, Madame Chu seeks an audience with you." Hearing this, Mu Zixuan quickly said to Liu Chen, "Prince, you better go see. Madame Chu must have something important to discuss." They had just arrived in North City, and there were certainly many matters to attend to. Mu Zixuan didn't dare to cling to Liu Chen. If word got out that she was clinging to Liu Chen upon arriving in North City, she didn't know how many would criticize her. "My love, rest well, I'll go check out the situation," Liu Chen said. Reluctantly getting up from the bed, Liu Chen dressed and left the room. When Liu Chen arrived at the prince's mansion's training ground, he saw Li Feng and Chu Yukin discussing something. Seeing Liu Chen coming over, Li Feng hastily said, "Prince, I greet you." Liu Chen looked at Chu Yukin and asked, "Madam Chu, did you want to see me about something?" Chu Yukin replied, "It's not me looking for you, but General Li." Liu Chen's gaze fell back onto Li Feng. Li Feng quickly took out a letter from his bosom and said to Liu Chen, "Prince, this is from Duke Mu. He instructed me to deliver this letter to you once we reached North City." Liu Chen immediately took the letter from Li Feng and began to read it carefully. At that moment, Li Feng and the 100 or so soldiers behind him were intently watching the letter in Liu Chen's hands. Li Feng, in particular, seemed very nervous. He didn't know what the letter contained, and he was now afraid that the North Prince would silence them. After all, they were about to return to the capital, and the North Prince might not trust them. After reading the letter, Liu Chen glanced at Li Feng and the others. Li Feng's loyalty had now risen to 87, making him a completely reliable subordinate. The loyalty of the soldiers from the guard team was also high, with basically none dropping below 60. Liu Chen spoke plainly, "Duke Mu has informed me in this letter that you have all perished." As soon as these words came out, there was an uproar. Li Feng and the others couldn't help but wonder in their hearts, could the North Prince actually be planning to silence them? No, it should be said that Duke Mu never intended to let them live and return. After all, the letter was from Duke Mu to the North Prince. Seeing Li Feng and his men seeming very nervous, Liu Chen continued, "Duke Mu has asked me to tell you that he has already had your family members brought to Yan County. You've been removed from the Hu Ben army, and from now on, you will follow me." This. Li Feng immediately realized that they had misunderstood Liu Chen's meaning. They were already dead, meaning they had been dismissed from the Great Su's Hu Ben army. It seems that Duke Mu had no intention of letting them return to the capital from the start but wanted them to follow the North Prince. At this moment, Liu Chen revealed a sly smile, "Of course, if you don't wish to follow me, I won't force you." Hearing this, Li Feng and those 100+ soldiers kneeled without hesitation, we swear to follow the prince to the death. Are you kidding? If they dared to utter the word no now, they definitely wouldn't be able to leave Yan County. They weren't fools. Moreover, following the North Prince wasn't a bad thing. After learning that the North Prince possessed a weapon capable of killing 9th grade experts, they believed he had always been hiding his abilities. Once the North Prince returned to the capital and reigned supreme, all of them would have the merit of dragons. The choice was obvious, no need to think it over. Liu Chen said, "All right, all of you get up." "Thank you, Prince." Liu Chen took out a token from his bosom and tossed it to Li Feng. "General Li, take my token and take command of the North City's troops. The training of the troops will be your responsibility." Li Feng immediately clasped his fists. "I will not let the prince down. I will quickly reorganize the North City army and train them into a fighting force." Liu Chen said, "There's no need to rush, making big moves may have negative impacts." Li Feng immediately caught on and replied, "Understood. I will proceed with caution." Li Feng thought that the North Prince must be planning to continue concealing his skills to avoid alerting others to his schemes. "All right, go about your business." With that, Liu Chen turned and prepared to leave. At this moment, Chu Yukin watched Liu Chen's retreating figure and felt an uneasy feeling in her heart. For some reason, she always sensed as if there was a mass of qi around Liu Chen. To confirm her suspicion, Chu Yukin propelled herself forward with a push of her toes and instantly appeared behind Liu Chen. Feeling the fluctuation of spiritual energy behind him, Liu Chen turned around abruptly, just in time to see Chu Yukin, and their gazes met. Chu Yukin was less than 30 centimeters away from him. A faint fragrance drifted into Liu Chen's nostrils, causing a stir in his body. "Madam Chu, what are you?" Chu Yukin smiled, then said, "Chener, I never expected you to become a martial artist behind my back. How come I've never seen you practicing martial arts before? What kind of cultivation art are you practicing?" Realizing he had been exposed, Liu Chen replied with a smile, "Madam Chu, it's a little secret of men." Chu Yukin feigned annoyance, "Where do you get all these secrets from?" Liu Chen chuckled, "A deep man has many secrets in his heart, it's normal." Chu Yukin gave Liu Chen a speechless glare, then said, "Fine, don't tell me. I'm off to set up the defenses." As she finished speaking, Chu Yukin's figure moved towards the entrance of the prince's mansion. Watching Chu Yukin's graceful and poised figure, Liu Chen felt the flames in his heart burning more fervently. He quickly turned away and ran to find his 2 concubines to practice cultivation. Chapter 13 Chapter 13, Retaking Military Authority in North City _1. 13 Chapter 13, Retaking Military Authority in North City _1. Yan County. Prefectural Government. Seeing Li Rui returning, the officials of North City swarmed around him. One official asked, "Lord Li, did the prince mention what he plans to do next?" The officials of North City were all deeply concerned about what major moves the North Prince might make after arriving in the Northland and whether it would affect their positions and interests. Li Rui revealed a slight smile, raised his hand to touch his beard, then replied calmly, "The prince told me to not bother him with non-urgent matters, everything in North City will remain as usual." Upon hearing this, the officials of North City became incredibly excited. If that was the case, their power and their interests would remain unharmed. Although they didn't say it out loud, they all thought, luckily the imperial court sent a useless prince to North City. However, just at that moment, a soldier from the prefectural government rushed in panicked. He approached Li Rui and whispered something to him. After listening to the soldier, Li Rui frowned and his expression turned grave. Seeing how troubled Li Rui looked, an official hastily asked, "Lord Li, what has happened?" Before the official had finished speaking, Li Feng entered the prefectural government. Seeing Li Rui and the group of officials, Li Feng said with a smile, "Lord Li, your residence is quite lively today." Li Rui came to his senses and quickly approached, saying, that's an overstatement. May I know what message General Li has for us at my residence? Li Feng directly brought out the North Prince's token and then said, the prince has ordered that, starting from today, all military affairs in North City will be handed over to me. Hearing this, the officials in the courtyard became panicked. The main reason they had been so brazen and indifferent to the North Prince was that the military of North City was under the control of the governor. The North Prince had just arrived in North City and was now taking over its military affairs. What was he planning? The military was a sensitive matter. If a seigneur took control of the military, he must have some plans in mind. Could it be that the North Prince was planning to turn against them? At this moment, Li Rui said, General Li, the prince has just arrived in North City and is not yet familiar with it. May I know why he has assigned you to take over the military affairs? Li Rui didn't think that the North Prince was aiming to strike at the powers in North City, at least not in the short term. After all, he had only just arrived and hadn't yet established a strong foothold. Moreover, in order to maintain his rule over North City, the North Prince still needed these officials and the major powers in North City. Even if the North Prince wasn't well informed, he wouldn't likely undertake such an act that would destroy his own foundations. Li Feng saw the concerns of Li Rui and the others and said directly, Lord Li, you must have heard about the assassination attempt on the prince by Blood Moon Tower on his way to the fief, right? Li Rui said, naturally. Li Feng continued, given that, then you should understand why the prince wants to take control of the military power. The prince doesn't want his personal safety to be in the hands of others. After Li Feng's explanation, Li Rui and the others immediately realized the situation. Indeed, the North Prince had been attacked on his way here. And he was young and likely got scared. Perhaps it was because he feared death, and feared that the North City's military might harm him, so he decided to take control of the military power. Li Feng went on to say, Lord Li, you wouldn't be unwilling to hand over the military authority, would you? The prince has entrusted you with all the affairs of North City. If the military power remains in your hands, who is the true prince, you or the North Prince? At these words from Li Feng, cold sweat broke out on Li Rui's forehead. Indeed, if all the power of North City were in his hands and he had no one to restrict him, it wouldn't be long before the imperial court would send someone to cause trouble for him. Li Rui thought it over. Since there weren't that many soldiers in North City anyway, it would be better to hand them over promptly and avoid trouble. With this in mind, Li Rui immediately took out the tiger talisman from his bosom. General Li, this is the tiger talisman that governs all the troops of North City. Then, Li Rui turned to a soldier dressed in armor beside him and instructed, Captain Wang, please take General Li to the barracks to have a look. Yes, my lord. Following that, Li Feng followed the soldier to the barracks of Yan County. After Li Feng left, the officials who had been behind Li Rui gathered around him. Lord, why did you hand over the tiger talisman to him? Yes, Lord, what if the prince misuses the military authority? Lord, what should we do now? Hearing the discussions among the officials, Li Rui said, rest assured, military authority should naturally reside in the hands of the prince. It is perfectly normal for the prince to take back control. Moreover, you all heard Li Feng's words just now. The prince has delegated all affairs of North City to me. If I were to retain control over the military, not only would the prince find it hard to accept me, but the court would never tolerate me either. Hearing this explanation, some officials who were quick on the uptake immediately understood Li Rui's intentions. After all, there had been a case in the Great Xia dynasty where an official in a prince's mansion had monopolized power and imprisoned a seigneur. Still, they remained somewhat concerned. Once the North Prince had military power, it meant he had a weapon in hand. It would be easy for him to deal with them, and they no longer dared to act recklessly as they had before. Li Rui continued, now, you all should return to your respective jurisdictions. If the North Prince issues any command, I will notify you at the first opportunity. After hearing Li Rui's words, the officials had no choice but to leave the prefectural government office one after the other. A few days later. North Prince Mansion. In the courtyard, Liu Chen watched as the servants made soap following the blueprint and decided to try one piece by rubbing it on a dirty piece of clothing. Soon, the stains on the dirty clothes were washed away, leaving them clean and pristine. Seeing this scene, everyone in the courtyard let out incredulous exclamations. Chu Yukin curiously asked, "Chener, where did you find the method to make this? The soap works so well." As he washed his hands, Liu Chen replied with a smile, "Madam Chu, would you believe me if I said I thought of it myself?" Raising her beautiful eyes, Chu Yukin spoke with a hint of sarcasm, "Chener has certainly grown up. Keeping more and more secrets, and hiding everything from Madam." Seeing that the atmosphere seemed a bit uneasy, Mu Zixuan hurriedly tried to smooth things over, "Madam Chu, this is indeed a method that the prince came up with." In truth, Chu Yukin was only slightly mocking in her tone, and not angry at all. She had long since given up on probing Liu Chen's secrets. That said, Chu Yukin still felt a sourness in her heart, thinking back to when Liu Chen used to tell her everything, but now kept everything to himself after getting married. At that moment, Zhou Xiaoxiao changed the subject, "Prince, how do you plan to sell this soap?" Liu Chen had already made it clear before making the soap that he intended to sell it, so Zhou Xiaoxiao was curious about how the prince planned to price such an effective cleaning product. After thinking for a moment, Liu Chen said, "Let's sell it for between 3 to 10 coins per piece." Startled, Zhou Yuyu, who was nearby, said, "That cheap?" Liu Chen replied, "Thin profits and high turnover. This is meant to replace bath beans, it shouldn't be too expensive, or no one will buy it." At this point, Liu Chen's gaze fell on Mu Zixuan. "Consort, the soap venture shall be entrusted to you." Excited, Mu Zixuan said, "Rest assured, Prince, I will take good care of the soap venture and fill the mansion's treasury as soon as possible." No sooner had Mu Zixuan spoken than her complexion suddenly turned pale and she began to retch. Seeing this, Zhou Yuyu and Zhou Xiaoxiao quickly went to her side to support her. "Sister, what's wrong? Quick, call the physician." Chapter 14-14 Chapter 14 Hunters often appear in the form of prey_1. 14 Chapter 14 Hunters often appear in the form of prey_1. Seeing Mu Zixuan retch, Liu Chen figured out what was probably the matter. After all, he had received a system prompt a few days ago, and the method for making soap was obtained due to Mu Zixuan's pregnancy. Still, even knowing she was pregnant, it was necessary to have a doctor look at her. His rejuvenating skill hadn't begun training yet, and he couldn't assist Mu Zixuan in examining her condition, so he could only let a doctor come and check. Mu Zixuan was then moved back into her room, where, lying on the bed, she looked up at Liu Chen beside her and said, "Prince, your concubine is all right." Liu Chen, stroking Mu Zixuan's cheek, smiled and replied, "You should still rest. Let's wait until the doctor has looked at you." Soon, the doctor arrived in the room. After a simple pulse check, he immediately rose and bowed, exclaiming, "Congratulations, Prince! The princess consort is with child." At these words, everyone in the room became excited. Zhou Xiaoxiao, beside Mu Zixuan, said, "Sister, that's wonderful. You're pregnant. Our prince will have an heir." Liu Chen, also overjoyed, said, "Xiao Rou, give the doctor 2 taels of silver." Hearing this, the doctor quickly responded, "Thank you for the reward, Prince." 2 taels of silver was no small sum in those days. A doctor wouldn't know how many patients he'd have to see to earn that much. After the doctor had left, Liu Chen, touching Mu Zixuan's belly, said with a smile, "My love, it seems all our hard work these past days has been worth it." Mu Zixuan's face turned red, there were so many people around, and Liu Chen was speaking so directly. At that moment, Mu Zixuan said, "Prince, I won't be able to attend to you for a while." Liu Chen replied, "No matter, your duty now is to rest and nurture the baby." Mu Zixuan then asked, "Prince, when do you plan to have Xiao Xiao and Yu Yu formally enter our household?" Although Zhou Xiao Xiao and Zhou Yu Yu were already Liu Chen's women, the wedding feast had not been held yet. Since the prince would be taking concubines, the wedding feast was definitely still necessary. After thinking for a bit, Liu Chen answered, "We'll hold it in a couple of days." Mu Zixuan, smiling, asked, "May your concubine take care of this matter?" Liu Chen said, "If my love is willing, then I'll leave this task to you." Seeing Liu Chen and Mu Zixuan so affectionate, Chu Yukin couldn't help feeling uncomfortable, and she quietly left the room. She used to be the one by Liu Chen's side. Now that he had a princess consort, it seemed he no longer needed his concubine, which left her feeling desolate. A few days later, word got out from the North Prince mansion that the North Prince was taking concubines. Hearing this news, various powers from North City began to prepare gifts. At the 100 Flowers Tower, a woman in a red robe sat by the window, gazing at the bustling crowd in the distance. The red robe hung loosely on her, exposing her fair collarbone and a dazzling expanse of skin that could easily mesmerize onlookers if noticed. Her supremely beautiful face was flawless, cheeks tinged with a gentle blush, radiating youthful charm. The woman's lips curved slightly, her peach blossom eyes seemed to hold a hint of allure, adding to her enchanting appearance. Her hair was piled up high, secured with a phoenix hairpin, with long locks cascading over her shoulders, her curvaceous figure enhancing her alluring aura. Just then, a woman wearing a mask entered the room, stating from behind the curtain, "Saintess, the pavilion master wants you to complete your mission and leave North City as soon as possible." At these words, the woman in red let out a cold laugh, her voice as clear and melodious as the song of a forest bird. "The North Prince has been hiding in his mansion, we still can't confirm whether his Grand Master has left his side or not. It's not that easy to complete the mission." The woman outside the curtain replied, "The pavilion master said it was the prince's order, even he can't do anything about it. If you need any help, please ask." Wang Qingkai said indifferently, "Forget it, reply to him and tell him that I will find an opportunity to approach the North Prince as soon as possible, so he doesn't need to rush me." Wang Qingkai was somewhat irritated at the moment, having arrived in Yan County 2 months ago in order to get close to the North Prince. She even deliberately turned herself into an Waran. However, since the North Prince's arrival in Yan County, he had not visited the 100 Flowers Tower even once. People said the North Prince was unlearned and licentious, liking to sneak into the pleasure quarters to listen to music. But once he arrived in North City, it was like he became a different person, staying inside his mansion all the time, going nowhere else. Wang Qingkai also tried to send people to gather intelligence at the prince's mansion, but the guards were numerous, and with Chu Yukin personally in charge, her people found it very difficult to infiltrate. Now, they didn't even know what the situation was like inside the prince's mansion. At that moment, a bluebird flew in from outside the window and landed before Wang Qingkai, who immediately caught it and took the paper from its leg. After reading the message, Wang Qingkai smiled gracefully. It seemed their intelligence has not been wrong, the North Prince indeed had a weakness for beauty. He had only been in North City for a few days and was already taking concubines. For her, this was good news. She needed to find a way to visit the prince's mansion, and if she could catch the attention of the North Prince, that would be perfect. The beauty trap was her best tool, especially when it came to assassination. Several days later, North Prince Mansion. Today was Liu Chen's day to take a concubine. The mansion was decorated brightly with lanterns, and guests bearing gifts came in an endless stream. Mu Zixuan was in charge of all the arrangements for the concubinage this time, and virtually all the major powers of North City had received invitations from the prince's mansion. Mu Zixuan was also planning to use this opportunity to promote soap, hence she invited all the major powers of North City. While receiving gifts, Liu Chen sat in the martial arts training ground, listening to reports from his mansion about the gifts from various powers while his eyes scanned the women who had come to attend the wedding banquet. In the Great Xia dynasty, unwed women generally did not leave home to attend others' wedding banquets. However, many today had brought forth their unwed daughters in hope of catching the prince's attention to arrange a marriage with him. But after scanning the crowd, Liu Chen did not find any woman whose score exceeded 90. Liu Chen sighed and thought, Yan County is indeed too small, too poor. Even women with scores over 90 are this scarce. Just as Liu Chen was about to give up, a woman in a purple dress caught his eye. Name, Wang Qingkai. Status, 9th grade martial artist, adopted daughter of the Wang family from the south, Saintess of Misty Pavilion, temporary tower master of 100 Flowers Tower. She came to attend the North Prince's marriage celebration specifically to assassinate the North Prince, intending to draw his attention and seduce him using her beauty. Score, 95. Favorability, 0. Seeing the prompt before his eyes, Liu Chen was momentarily stunned. He hadn't expected a 9th grade assassin to have infiltrated the gathering. Oh, that's not right, she didn't infiltrate, she walked in openly and aboveboard. Looking at Wang Qingkai's enchanting figure, and her smooth, ample shoulders and the bright whiteness of her skin, Liu Chen felt a bit dizzy. It was rare to find a woman with a score of 95, and she turned out to be an assassin, what bad luck. Finding a woman with a score of 95 was not easy, he certainly had to find a way to obtain this enchanting rose and have her bear his children. With that thought, Liu Chen fell deep in thought. It seemed that the dragon phoenix tree had already grown, and later he would test the effects of the dragon phoenix tree leaves used to make tea. If the dragon and phoenix tea was effective, then his identity and that of Wang Qingkai's would undergo a change. Thinking this, Liu Chen's lips curved up slightly. Sometimes a hunter appears in the form of the prey. Chapter 15-15 Chapter 15 Bluffing Chu Yukin _1 15 Chapter 15 Bluffing Chu Yukin _1 At this moment, Wang Qingkai also noticed Liu Chen. After all, she had come specifically for him. Seeing that the North Prince was smiling at her, Wang Qingkai was overjoyed, and it seemed her plan had already succeeded by half, and she indeed had caught the attention of the North Prince. All she needed to do now was wait quietly. She believed it wouldn't be long before the North Prince would come looking for her, confident in her own beauty. Soon, Wang Qingkai smiled back at Liu Chen as well. After the wedding banquet was over, Liu Chen left straight away, whereas Mu Zixuan stayed to chat with the females who had attended the wedding. Liu Chen had long since communicated and exchanged feelings with Zhou Xiaoxiao, so he wasn't in a hurry about the wedding chamber at all. He now headed to the main courtyard, the one where he had planted the dragon phoenix tree. The dragon phoenix tree hadn't been planted for even half a month, but it had already grown as tall as Liu Chen's waist. However, the dragon phoenix tree looked no different from any ordinary tree. Liu Chen plucked a few leaves from the dragon phoenix tree, intending to brew tea for Zhou Xiaoxiao and her sister later in the wedding chamber. At that time, Chu Yukin appeared in the yard. Seeing that Liu Chen was neither receiving guests nor looking for Zhou Xiaoxiao and her sister but had run to this yard to look at a tree, Chu Yukin asked with curiosity, "Chener, what are you doing here? Why aren't you looking for the Zhou sisters?" Upon hearing Chu Yukin's voice, Liu Chen was startled, then he turned his head to look at her, and an idea suddenly formed in his mind. At this point, Liu Chen asked the system in his heart. "System, is it true that after a woman drinks the dragon and phoenix tea, she will become dependent on me and unable to leave me?" "That is correct. Moreover, after a woman drinks the dragon and phoenix tea, she will be unable to harm you, and when you touch their bodies, they will lose their strength. However, if the woman who drinks the dragon and phoenix tea has a favorability towards you, the tea can enhance their skill to a certain extent." Hearing this from the system, Liu Chen was surprised. He had thought that the dragon and phoenix tea would at most make women dependent on him, not that it also had the effect of increasing skill. Since Chu Yukin had such a high favorability towards him, then if she drank more dragon and phoenix tea, it would definitely increase her skill substantially. With this thought, Lu Chen smiled and said, "No rush, it's broad daylight now, what do you want me to do by searching for them? Could it be, Madam Chu, you want me to perform that what?" Hearing this, Chu Yukin gave Lu Chen a white look. "What nonsense are you talking about? I just want you to talk to the two sisters, now that you're married." At that moment, Chu Yukin, looking at the dragon phoenix tree leaves in Lu Chen's hand, asked out of curiosity, "What are you doing with the tree leaves?" Instead of directly answering Chu Yukin's question, Lu Chen looked around carefully and said in a cautious tone, "Madam Chu, come with me, I have a secret to tell you." At these words, Chu Yukin's eyes lit up, and she was instantly intrigued. Lately she had discovered that Lu Chen had many secrets. Each time she asked him about them, Lu Chen would use the excuse that he was all grown up and unwilling to tell her, making her wonder if Lu Chen no longer recognized her as his aunt. Since Lu Chen was willing to share a secret with her today, she definitely wanted to hear it. She was curious about what kind of secret Lu Chen would reveal. At this time, Lu Chen headed towards his room, with Chu Yukin quickly following. Once in his room, Lu Chen placed the leaves he was holding into the teapot on the table. Seeing this, Chu Yukin grew even more curious, wondering what Lu Chen was up to. After a moment, Lu Chen poured the brewed dragon and phoenix tea into 2 purple clay cups. "Madam Chu, try the flavor of this tea." Hearing this, Chu Yukin paused for a second, then asked unbelievingly, "Chener, is this what you call a secret?" Lu Chen said mysteriously, "Madam Chu, once you drink it, you'll understand the secret I'm talking about." Having said this, Lu Chen picked up a purple clay cup from the table and drained the dragon and phoenix tea inside. Seeing Lu Chen drink, Chu Yukin hesitated but picked up the purple clay cup in front of her and gently sipped the dragon and phoenix tea inside. After just a small sip, Chu Yukin immediately felt a cool sensation flooding into her heart. The next moment, Chu Yukin discovered that the skill inside her body was slowly growing. Her realm had stagnated at 9th grade for many years, and she had thought it would be difficult to advance any further, but to her surprise, just a sip of the tea started to loosen the constraints on her realm. Chu Yukin then drained the cup of dragon and phoenix tea and fixed her beautiful eyes intently on Lu Chen. "Chener, if I'm not mistaken, the leaves you had in your hands were from that tree in the middle of the courtyard, weren't they?" Chu Yukin had long noticed that Lu Chen seemed particularly concerned about the tree in the center of the courtyard, and she had always been curious why Lu Chen, after arriving in North City, watered the tree himself every day. So the leaves from that tree could actually enhance one's skill. That was truly unbelievable. Lu Chen still didn't answer Chu Yukin's question but instead asked back, "Madam Chu, how do you feel now?" Chu Yukin closed her eyes slightly, and the next moment, a stream of energy spread out from her body. When Chu Yukin opened her eyes, she could hardly believe it. She had actually broken through to the half-step Grandmaster. Although there was still a long way to go before becoming a Grandmaster, this at least gave her hope. Only then did Lu Chen begin to explain, "Madam Chu, the tree in the courtyard is called the Dragon Phoenix Tree, and drinking tea brewed with its leaves can help martial artists enhance their skill." Lu Chen revealed only part of the content. As for the other uses of dragon and phoenix tea, Lu Chen hadn't planned on telling Chu Yukin yet. Chu Yukin was of a gentler disposition, and Lu Chen hadn't planned on coming on strong from the start. Hearing what Lu Chen said, Chu Yukin was extremely surprised. Although she had already experienced the benefits of the dragon and phoenix tea, hearing Lu Chen's explanation made it feel even more incredible. If Lu Chen could produce a weapon that kills 9th grade martial artists instantly, what's more, he had now found a plant that could enhance skill from who knows where. If word of this got out, the entire martial arts world would likely be thrown into chaos. By then, goodness knows how many master-level experts would come to the prince's mansion to fight over that tree. Not just grandmasters, but perhaps even grandmasters might take an interest in that tree. Chu Yukin didn't plan on asking Liu Chen where it came from because, after all, asking him would probably not yield an answer. At that moment, Chu Yukin sighed and asked worriedly, "Chener, does anyone else know about the uses of this tree?" Liu Chen shook his head and said, "I've only told you, Madam Chu, no one else knows." Chu Yukin cautioned, "You must not tell anyone else about the uses of this tree, otherwise the North Prince Mansion will face great trouble, and by then, even I won't be able to protect the North Prince Mansion." Liu Chen assured, "Don't worry, Madam Chu, I understand the pros and cons." Chu Yukin said, "All right, you should go see Xiao Xiao and Yu Yu now." Liu Chen ummed and said, "Then I'll head over there now." After the sound of his voice faded, Liu Chen turned around and left. For some reason, as she watched Liu Chen's tall figure walking away, Chu Yukin suddenly felt a little unsettled.